Good morning from Sacred Space at Titania's Realm. It's the 25th of August 2024, 11:57 a.m. and it's Sunday. You can probably tell by my old lady's sunken eyeballs because I've put a bit of lipstick on, but I'm not hiding the fact that I'm an old lady with sunken eyeballs. I had the wild dance last night. Oh, I had the most fantastic time last night. I always have a wonderful night when I dance at the Brooklyn Standard. It's just magical and a bit intense and powerful and beautiful, and there's so much soul nourishing love in the room, and I'm so loved and protected by my friends in the club and the staff. And I know I'm always gushing after my post dancing debriefs because I'm kind of still a little bit high and elevated from the wild dance, but lots to tell you, lots of interesting insights. Some I can't share because they're embarrassing and I don't want to embarrass my friend, but funny stories that I actually related back to him privately because it was cute, and I'm kind of amused by it all. But I don't know what comes over people. But you see, when there's a lot of alcohol, and I've noticed particularly people of Celtic, Scottish, Irish, Welsh ancestry, the Celtic or the Viking ancestry, but those particularly from the British Isles actually, when they've been drinking or they've had quite a bit to drink, these just almost channelings and truisms come out of them, and it's quite astonishing sometimes. I've learnt over the many years to just take it at face value, and sometimes you just think, oh, drunk people, but last night it was kind of cute, this I won't tell the full story, but this young man approached me last night for the third set. It was with a group of young friends, and he came and he stood beside me and started dancing beside me, which no harm and foul. He wasn't pressing into me, and he wasn't violating my personal space, but I was just conscious that he was wanting my attention, so I just kept doing my performance art, my crazy wild dancing. And then finally he looked at me and he said, "Are you married to the guys in the band?" Well, and to all intents and purposes, I am kind of married to the guys in the band, not in a marriage in the sense of a sexual contract written and, as a legal document signed off by the government of, white slavery, possession of, of being an actual wife. But I kind of joked, a long time ago actually with my friend that I'm Ms. Clayton's wife in the club because he protects me and I protect him. So it's cute, but it's not that kind of a marriage. But anyway, the very weird thing was this young man looks at me, says, are you married to the guys in the band? What a strange thing to say to a woman you've just met who's clearly dancing wildly, strutting her stuff, So I politely turned to the young man and I said, "Oh, no, not at all." I said, I'm friends with them." "Oh, are they your friends? You're their friend." It's odd that he kind of reiterated that twice. I said, yes, we are friends. I said, "I've been dancing for this band, Alter Egos, for 14 years. Well, I've danced for all the bands because I danced at the casino for 12 years. It would have been 13, but I got mandated out for 6 months. And then there was 6 months that I was really pissed off at some horrific systemic abuse I witnessed. So I boycotted them for 6 months and then eventually got over it and went back. And then the second 6 months away from the casino was because of the mandates, right? So it's 13 years that I've danced for all of them up at that band, and then I danced for them, prior to that I also danced for them at the Elephant and at the Greenbank RSL, and, there's another burst I danced for a bar called the Tempo Bar on my 49th birthday, actually. So that was 2014. So, I'm not lying when I say I've danced for them for 14 years, but people must find it probably thought it just sounds like nonsense, So he kind of looked at me, this young man, and then we continued to dance. Well, I didn't stop dancing anyway because I was in my zone. That's what I do. And so he points down to this bridal veil that a woman had worn for her hen's night, had obviously discarded towards the end of the night. And he said, "Oh, is that yours?" Still going on about me being married. This was the channeling, right? I'm not married to anyone. I have no intention of getting married again to anyone, even if I'm deeply in love with someone, because I don't want that soul contract, not so much the soul contract, because you have the soul contract when you're in love with someone anyway, but I don't want that contract with the devil of being possessed and owned and riding my entire autonomy away, gifted to a man that might turn savage down the track, or I might turn savage down the track. Things might go wrong, and then you've got the problem of the fucking expensive, emotionally torturous, ugly, putrid divorce like I had when my one and only marriage, broke down. I promised myself as a young woman after that awful divorce that I would never marry again, because I would never put myself through even the potential of an ugly divorce like that ever again. It was that damaging and profoundly evil and ugly and expensive and, did I mention damaging? So I thought, why is this young man banging on about me being married? Maybe because he saw an older woman and he's assumed that as an old, mature age woman that I must therefore be married, or there must be something going through his alcohol-soaked brain. But he wasn't all that pissed, actually. Seemed quite lucid. But anyway, so he turns to me, "Is that yours?" I said, "Oh, no, that's not mine." I kind of flicked it away. He went to hand it to me, and I was like, "Oh, get it away. Now, this is no reflection on women who are happily about to enter into the institution of marriage and are joyous and excited about their connubial bliss and full of hope and splendour and awe and thrilled, I don't want to detract from that joy. You're allowed to get married and have a happy, wonderful, loving, soul-nourishing, supportive, generous, kind love partnership that is actually contractually recognised by our state, by our government. I'm not telling, the young ones to be bitter and irascible like me and gun shy. I'm just saying that's my attitude to it, given my personal experiences, right? I can't even delight when I see the hens coming. I just think, oh, you poor bitch, you've got no idea what's ahead of you. And it's my own darkness. They might have wonderful men who are going to be wonderful husbands and fathers and one day grandfathers. It's just my own abject horror and cumulative trauma that I see it and I can't rejoice for them. It's why I don't usually go to weddings. Ironically, I will attend funerals, but only of people who are, very close to me, because it's another thing I don't like to participate in unless it's someone who I actually know or were meaningful to me. I find it kind of sordid to go to funerals of strangers or people you barely know. That's just me. In my Jewish tradition, of course, I'm supposed to go to funerals if it's required, if they need a minyan, even if it's a stranger. But, personally, I would prefer not to. But anyway, I'm segueing away. I'm floating away, people, because lack of sleep and highly enervated from 4 hours of dancing. But by the gods, my pagan gods, because I'm a Jew and a witch, I had a wonderful time last night. Let's be real here. The goddess and the Holy One was smiling upon me. So the young man continues on looking at me. Oh, he says, I still think you're married to that man. He's nodding over at Scott. Scott and I aren't even looking at each other. He's performing and I'm dancing. There was no real, verbal intimacy going on. I don't think so anyway. Certainly there was no flirting going on. We're just doing our thing, living our best life. Paulie's standing beside me, singing beautifully. Oh, Paulie, you were amazing last night. I told him at the end of the night, I said, you were flying tonight. It was really awesome. He's smiling, big dimples. And, they were all awesome. I'm so proud of them. I'm really proud of them. So anyway, young one beside me, still not having it. I said, no, I told you, I've danced for this band for 14 years. I'm not married to them. And so anyway, it comes to this, they were mixing up the hard rock with, more mainstream, softer kind of almost poppy songs. And it was kind of funny. So young one looks at me and says, do they play harder rock? I went, do they play harder rock? I said, of course they do, darling. And he goes, oh, really? I said, this is what you've got to do. He goes, what do I have to do? I said, you've got to yell out, give us something harder, boys. So together we yelled out, give us, which sounds a bit sexual, I know, but it's just being playful in the club, So the young one and I yell out, give us something harder, boys. So they followed up. They all laugh because they know me. They know that would have come from me because I do that from time to time. And so the next song they followed up, I can't remember. It was a harder rock song. So young one and I going off together to that, and it was really fucking awesome. I can't remember what the name of the song is, but it reaches a point, it kind of builds and then it lulls and then it builds. I think it might be Powderfinger or Linkin Park, so I can't even remember, to be honest. But it builds and it builds and then it comes back down and then it builds and then it comes back down. So me dancing but feeling the energy, and because I've been dancing to their band for 14 years and I know I know the point in the song where it reaches the full crescendo because of years and years of being immersed in it. So I turned to the young one and I said to him, are you ready? And he's like, what? And I'm like still going, I'm moshing with my hair and I'm like, are you ready? And he's like, and then, right. And I can hear, the music just building up to that in that particular song, it almost feels like when a wave crashes over, reaches the peak and then it just, so I went, ready, now. And we turned our backs to each other, young one and I, and we were pummeling each other's back. I had to take my top hat off and put it down because it would have gone flying everywhere. And we're going, against each other's back. Oh, it was delightful. He was delightful. He was very playful and sweet. Young enough to be my bloody grandson, though. So I keep attracting men that are so young, they're obviously on some level fascinated with me because of my wildness and my shamanic attributes and my old lady crazy rock chick ways that are a bit unusual. They're like drawn in, but then I'm like, you could be my son, or worse, you could be my grandson, So I kind of have to, you know, the equivalent of the cold teaspoon, kind of have to put them in their place. Like, don't get any weird ideas, because, like, could be your grandmother. So anyway, the delightful thing was he and I were dancing wildly to that song, and it was just the point where the song breaks and it's that crescendo, and we were like, oh fuck, I was so high after that. I was like, oh, that was just awesome. Just awesome. Really wonderful. Anyway, he's looking at my friend Scott, and he says to me, "You're right," he says. "They're a really good band." I said, "Of course, I don't support shitty bands. I've been doing this for 14 years. Do you think I'd be dancing every weekend to bands that I thought was shit?" Although, to be fair, I used to dance for some pretty woeful bands at the casino, but I was there every weekend too for 12 years, so you've just got to be generous and go with it. And after a while, some of those bands that started out a bit bloody average got quite good after a few years, you know. You keep doing something long enough, you gain mastery and you get quite good, you know. Still, here's the thing though, none of them are as good as Burst and Alter Egos and Ramjet. You know, they're my favourite bands. They are excellent musicians, they really are. And of course, the wonderful musicians that used to play for Mission X, who play for international, you know, performing artists like Tony Childs, and they play for Abby Sky, and you know, they're wonderful. They are actually, they're la creme de la creme, wonderful musicians. Chris O'Donnell, and I can't remember what the gentleman with the glasses name is, but they're wonderful musicians too. But you know, the average bands that used to play there, I'd be like, oh, but Jesus, I'm going to need to get drunk tonight to cope with this, which I often did have to get a little bit tipsy to cope with it. But over time, you know, they got better, or I got more sanguine about it. But anyway, so Young One's looking at my friend Scott, and he says to me, "They are really a good band." And I went, "Yes." He said, "He's so unassuming, but he's slapping that bass like a pro." Well, I just started to laugh. Anyway, he said something else that was a bit sordid. So after me saying that I was not married at all to him or anyone in the band, he said this sort of cheeky, sordid thing and looked at my reaction. I just said, "Get away from my man." And I said, "In that case, get away from my man." Suddenly I went into wife mode, which was hilarious because it's just me being protective. But anyway, it was just so funny. But I did tell my friend Scott about it because I just thought he'll get a giggle out of it, you know. So he knows I get protective. But at no stage have I ever said that I'm married to them. And I even said to the young one, I said, "Where did you get out of me saying I've been dancing for them for 14 years? How did you interpret that I said I'm married to them?" He said, "Oh, that's what I heard you say, that you're married to them." So clearly it was a wind-up of some kind, coming either from his consciousness, or maybe someone told him to just say that to me to stir me up, see how I react, right? Well, you know, Mama T. Mama T's I'm very protective of my friends in the bands because they're equally protective of me. That's why we're friends. We have each other's backs. So I was trying to figure out what this young one's agenda was, you know. It was odd. But anyway, maybe there was no agenda. Maybe he was just channeling because he was drunk. Anyway, he went away. He took his jumper off and he said, "I'll be back." He went off to get a drinky poos, and then I had a couple of his mates dancing beside me, but they didn't speak to me. They just quietly danced beside me, but happily, you know, they were really happy to be dancing beside me. It was sweet. It was actually quite sweet. They weren't nasty boys, you know. They were nice lads. And so anyway, yeah, and the other lovely thing that happened was I think in the second set or towards the end of the second set, I was dressed, I had my lovely long sleeved maxi animal print dress with my underbust on and my bikey studded boots and purple tights, my purple top hat, and I had, my feather and my beads in, but I had full makeup and all my glitter eyeshadow and shades of pink and purple, and because I like to dress up because it's an event for me once a week. What else have I got going on in my life? Rest of the week I sit here all alone in my house, quiet and quietly, various degrees of quiet desperation, trying not to die. Am I right? Well, it's not always that bad, but some days it feels a bit ick. I've been struggling with my health in the last few months, well, the last few years really, but the last few months adjusting to CPAP has been a bit touch and fucking go. But anyway, be that as it may, I've got to persevere and fight my way through that as well. So, so yes, so the some very young, very beautiful young women, probably early 20s too. It's kind of interesting that I'm attracting these very young people because I'm grieving the fact that I've been denied the opportunity to be a grandmother. And I'm thinking about it, my daughter's nearly 40, so if she had had a child at the age I had her, you know, my grandchildren would be around 19, 20. So there's the magical kind of link that's drawing these kids in. And I don't mind, I love people older and young. I love them for their spirit and their joy and their conviviality and their congeniality and, the sweetness. And if I don't like someone, it's because I've thought they're a bit of an asshole, or, they were rude, or there was something that set my teeth on edge. But, when I'm out in the club, I get along with most people. So anyway, and I also kind of keep to myself in my own little space too. Have my own little spot. I always create a spot, like a kind of almost a sacred space. I'm like a fucking turtle. I take my house with me, and I just have a little spot where I pour all my energy in it. That's that, and I don't like it being invaded, kind of thing. That's the only thing I can be a bit weird about. But anyway, so so I'm in my spot dancing my dance, am I right? And these very beautiful young girls, young women, early 20s, approached me, and two of them, and I was wary because I've had trouble with young girls being savage and vicious and trying to attack me actually. So I just kind of shot them my hairy eyeball look, just observing, thinking, oh, am I going to have trouble, again with these young ones? But no, they were actually quite gorgeous in spirit as well as looks. They were nice women. And so the one closest to me looks up at me, in awe. And I nodded and smiled and kept dancing, as I do. And she said to me, you look absolutely beautiful. And I sort of went, oh, well, thank you very much. That's very kind of you to say, because it's a bit, I did look beautiful, to be honest, but it's kind of unusual to get a compliment, especially from someone young and beautiful herself, So I kind of always think, all right, where's the agenda, because it's often an agenda. So I looked at her and said, oh, thank you so much, darling. That's very kind of you to say. And I try not to sound sarcastic because sometimes it's like there's a slight edge to my voice because I'm like, yeah, what do you want, But anyway, no, they were heartfelt and genuine and sweet women. So she says to me, I'm just blown away. She said, by your beautiful leopard print dress and how you've teamed it up with the underbust and matching with your black underbust with your black boots. And she said everything's matching, and then you've got your purple tights to match with your purple top hat, and even your makeup and the beads and your feathers. She said, my God, you look beautiful. So I'm a bit kind of floored, and I just looked at her. I went, well, you're beautiful, young woman. I said, you look beautiful too. She says, oh, thank you. She said, but no, we've come over to tell you this. And anyway, the other little friend that was with her looks at me and she said, and I think you look beautiful too. She said, even your fan, my fan's got, it's like an Indonesian batik design. She said, even your fan, which I need to buy a new one because that one's starting to fall apart actually. She said, even your fan matches your outfit. Everything matches. She said, it's exquisite how you've put yourself together. She said, we're just amazed. Like, high praise from these young women, But lovely high praise. So I smiled at the second young woman. I said, thank you so much. And I said, you look very pretty. What you're wearing too, you look lovely, and thank you for your compliment. And I actually ran my hand over the first girl's hair. I sort of wasn't being patronising, it just kind of happened naturally, straight to her hair. And she had straightened her hair so it was dead straight, and it was just all felt like beautiful silk. Like they were lovely girls, And I thought, oh, isn't that gorgeous? I get all this soul nourishing, a big agape love and admiration and kind of respect and sweetness from total strangers in the club every weekend. Usually every weekend somebody says something kind, And then at the same time I kind of feel sad because, I have no family left in my own private life anymore, and it's kind of a strange dichotomy, But be that as it may, Mama T has learnt from decades of surviving, thriving to take the sweetness and the big agape unconditional love and the joy and sometimes the platonic love and the romantic love. And I don't accept sexual love. I haven't for many years because it historically turns fetid and awful, but I accept the romantic sort of flirting occasionally and the sweetness, and I take that and I keep it precious, till I go out again the following weekend for my wild dance. Am I right? So it's beautiful, and it's inspiring and motivating and encouraging and soul nourishing. So yes, there were those two lovely young ladies, and yes, that young man at the end of the night. Oh, he was so funny. He was just so funny. Anyway, as I left the club, I saw Elle, and I was having one of the bartenders from Manchester. I was having a chat, and she says, "Oh," I said, "Have you worked hard?" She said, "Yes, it's been a busy night tonight." And I said, "Oh, we both worked hard. I mean, I work hard, but it's not work as in you get paid as in a job, but it's kind of, for me, it's spiritual work in a sense, and it does take a lot of my energy, but I give it willingly, so I'm not complaining about my work. But it's funny how I came out. We've both worked hard tonight. It's how I actually phrased it. So I guess I was recognising that I'd poured a lot of energy out into the space, and I'm not complaining. Don't get me wrong. It's beautiful, powerful energy, and we all build it together, all of us in the club. It's a wonderful, powerful, thriving energy. So, what did I say to her? can't remember how it came out. I said, oh, because she's only 23 and she's here alone, migrated here alone from Manchester, England. I said, you're very brave to do that. She said, oh, it was just so boring in England and I wasn't able to make much money and it was a lot of struggle. So I thought I'd come here. And she said, I make more money here in a week's wages that I earn here. It would take me 4 weeks to earn that in England. I was actually surprised to hear that. Anyway, she's a smart little one. I love her. She's going to do well in life. She's ambitious and she's smart and she's pretty and she's a sweetheart. So I said to her, yes, I said, I'm much older than you. I'm 59. I said, I've learnt two things in life. She said, oh, what's that, Tanya? I said, well, I said, in life, you've got to always own your own shit. Meaning, accept who you are as you are and work with what you have. I didn't go into that detail, but she understood. I said, you've got to own your own shit, I said to her. And then I smiled and I said, and no matter what, always, always and forever, live your best life. And she smiled happily. But then I said to her, I've had so much trouble lately with fines for parking that I had to negotiate down. It was evil. And I said, and then my windscreen broke and I had to replace that. And that was another evil that it could not have perceived would come, another expense. And I said, I get so frustrated with this country when things constantly struggle for me. I said, I want to get out of this country, actually. I said, maybe if you go back to England, you'll take me to Manchester. I said, just throw me in a ditch somewhere. Hopefully I'll find somewhere safe to land. And she's just like looking at me because she's escaped from Manchester. I don't know why I said that. That was quite dark. But I have been thinking in recent days, weeks, I get like that when I'm overburdened with financial worries or, struggles that my innate instinct is to escape and go somewhere far, far away and start fresh. But unlike young Elle, I'm not young, and I guess I don't have that brave enough, intrepid nature, because at my age, packing up and moving to some foreign country far away from everywhere, I wouldn't have the capacity to hold down a job with my trauma issues, and I wouldn't be able to provide for myself. I'd end up even worse off and homeless. So I'm terrified of that, actually. It's always been an innate terror, homelessness. It's why I was always had quite a few friends in the homeless community outside the casino. I was always very kind to them because I have itinerant behaviours in my own bloodlines, where we get to a certain age and we kind of go a bit fucking mad and we just run amok and go itinerant. And I had a great uncle and my own father too, and another uncle. My own grandfather wasn't itinerant, he had homes, but he was always roaming. So he lived kind of like a homeless man, but he did have a home. But then I had another great uncle who just up stumps in old age and moved to Perth and ended up dying as a homeless man. And my own father, who was estranged to me for 17 years, I couldn't have him in my house. I put him up for a couple of months and he was so toxic and so violent and so aggressive, even starting fights with my very nice neighbours who'd never caused any bother to anyone. Pugilistic fights, wanting to beat up my neighbour Brendan, who was a lovely man. I said to Brendan, he apologised to me, said, I almost punched your father out. And I went, well, he had it coming, didn't he? I said, he's like that. That's why he has to go. I said, it's not you, Brendan. It's my old man. I know him. I know what he's like. I was raised by it. Oh, Tanya, I'm so sorry to, I said, no, you don't have to be sorry. I said, he's completely stark raving, mad and aggressive and violent and toxic and also wouldn't pay his way, expected to bludge off me and my two daughters when I myself was struggling. And I would go to work and come home, and he'd have cooked himself a meal but didn't provide a meal for my girls, so I'd have to then cook another meal or take them to Macca's. It was really unacceptable what he did. So anyway, part of that was why he became estranged, but there's a lot more to that story that I don't want to go into right now as to why he's estranged. But he was getting kind of creepy as well. I can't have him around my daughters. Had to go. So he was estranged for 17 years when he died. I did try to make an effort to reconcile and come back to me. I went, no, that man is not allowed anywhere near me or my daughters for the rest of eternity, And so there was that. And then a few years after that, he did indeed pass away as a homeless man, but living in kind of a hostel, halfway house type situation in an old people's home. But apparently he had his own little apartment. But they left him there without medical treatment, so he died of kidney sepsis, so they murdered him. So to all intents and purposes, my father would have been better off on the streets because someone would have taken him to a hospital maybe, or who knows, maybe not. A lot of homeless people just die out in the streets too. Let's be real here. But anyway, I segue. I have a soft spot for people who are homeless because I understand that circumstances can lead to that with your mental health, that you no longer feel safe being in a home, and you just become, you feel safer out having that level of freedom. I understand it. I kind of fear it in a way. I used to say to my homeless friend Katrina, if I ever become homeless, would you show me how to survive out in the streets? I said, because I've got no life skills at all. I can barely cope with my own kind of existence. And she said, oh no, Tanya. She said, of course I will. Of course I'll look out for you. But she said, hopefully that will never happen to you. She was very protective of me. Isn't it ironic? But she was so sweet. All the other homeless people would come along. She'd say, this is my friend Tanya. I love her. You treat her nicely. And they would include me as if I was part of their community. So sweet, it's a sweetness. But I'm not homeless. I have this lovely home here. But yeah, when my mental health starts to kind of not unravel, I'm not unraveling. I'm okay. I'm travelling very well actually, considering all the stressors of all the fines and problems with the car and all that other shit. But when I get a kind of histrionic, I guess, my immediate knee-jerk reaction is I need to sell the car. And I pulled myself up from that spiral within 24 hours because I realised, I always say that when I get big expenses for the car, because it's terrifying to my mind, How am I going to afford everything? How am I going to get through? So I didn't sell my car, and I got the new windscreen, $553 per Jesus, but, I'll pay it off on Zip Pay. It won't be so bad. It'll just take me a year to get it all under control. That and that fucking fine they've gifted me, the Brisbane City Council, bastards. And I had a look at the signs as I drove past through the top of Adelaide Street. And you know what? I think they're new fucking signs, because there is no way I would have parked in a taxi zone. And I notice that they're bright red now and they're more obvious. I think they've done a Swiftie on me. I know I sound paranoid, people of Earth, but I've parked there for nearly a year, no problem at all. Suddenly it's a taxi zone. Something doesn't add up there. But anyway, I'm wearing that fine. I'm paying that off, $322. So, nearly $1,000 in debt I acquired in the last few weeks through just sheer fucking misfortune or other people's malfeasances. So, I don't know where I've drifted off to. I started to tell you about something else and I went all over the place. Sorry. This is lack of sleep, people. But anyway, oh yes, so yeah, so I was out chatting to you know, as I left Owler, Scott says to me as I was going past, go walk to the uptown car park. He says, "Oh, are you flirting with all this?" Joking, joking around. You flirting with all the staff? I said, "Of course. That's what I do every weekend at the end of my night." We were joking around. So anyway, I told him about that young man saying he was slapping the bass, and he laughed too. But I didn't tell him the obnoxious thing that he said. But it's just boys being boys, isn't it? Oh my goodness. Well, no, it's not really appropriate. But anyway, I nipped that in the bud straight away. I said, if you're going to talk like that, then you better get away from my man. Suddenly I was very married, even without any contracts and blood. I was very, very married indeed. So you have to laugh. Kind of have to laugh about that. Anyway, I'll carry on with today's readings of even date, and it's the 25th of August 2024, and it's titled Family Histories and Other Creepy Critters and Even Creepier Interventions. Laughing my ass off. Well, this is going to be interesting. If I've got laughing my ass off in the title, oh my goodness. Here's a lovely photo of a beautiful face that I miss every fucking day for the past 12 months. My beautiful beau, who usually hated having his photo taken, but I used to say to him sometimes, Mama gonna take a photo for the paparazzi? And he'd be like, huh. Or sometimes I'd surprise him and say, look at me, Bobo. And then he'd turn and look, and that was the look I got. And he wasn't totally conscious that I was about to take the photo. Probably after I took that lovely photo, he would have gone, because that's what he was like. But anyway, I still miss him, even though at times he could be a bit of a oddball of a dog too. Pardon me. 25th of August 2023. Another glorious day. I woke up at 7 a.m. but decided to go back to sleep. I am exhausted. I woke again at 10:30 a.m. from a weird dream about being in a white hacienda-style house, regaling friends about how I once invited myself off the street to an outlaw bikie clubhouse. That part actually did happen back in 2011, people of Earth. So I was there for 8 months. So yeah, 2011 must have been September-ish 2011 until April, May, roughly that time frame, 2012. I got my tattoo in May, and that was after that already kind of, yeah, it turned ugly at the end, but it wasn't the president's doing, which I found out later. And so it was just some kind of political shenanigans between the young guard and the old guard, and I could have gone back actually. They loved me there, but I said, nope, don't want to be in the middle of politicking and fighting, and you know, I need to feel safe and welcome in a space, or I don't attend. Simple. Got better things to do with my time. But anyway, I was safe there for a long time, 8 months, and had a lovely time before it went rancid. So anyway, here I am still dreaming about it. Oh, the irony. When was that? 1 year ago. Yes. I tell the two women, this is the woman in the dream, that I regret not learning how to shoot a gun, as that would have come in handy for the apocalypse or the devolution of Western civilization. I tell them I don't own a gun or have a gun license, which is true in real world as well. So it's kind of ironic that two men I encountered in real life in recent months both suggested I go bush with them so they can teach me survival skills like fishing and hunting. Well, I kind of know how to fish. I haven't done it since I was a teenager, but I do know how to fish. I mean, I'd probably be able to remember what to do kind of thing, maybe. It's been a long time, 40 odd years. But anyway, hunting I've never done because I hate killing it. I actually hated fishing because I hate watching the fish die. It used to traumatise me. And I certainly wouldn't enjoy hunting, having to kill for food. But I guess if you're hungry enough, you do it, am I right? Just perish the thought. Anyway, survival skills, rather a theme that has now invaded my subconscious dreaming. So perish the thought on hunting means I'm actually a domesticated, trained, white slave lab rat of my culture and society, because I'm dependent on getting my meat in a packet, sliced and diced and pre-prepared, wrapped in plastic on a tray, and I've lost connection to the fact that it once came from a living creature and that it once had a life force and a family and, you know, its own, because I believe animals have souls. A lot of religions will argue with me about that, but fuck you. I've had enough pets in my life to know uncategorically that animals do indeed have souls. But I still eat them because I'm a meat eater, and I just, still eat. I can't afford a lot of meat, but I still do eat meat. I've eaten millions and millions of chickens in my day because I mainly eat chicken. But if you said to me, here's a sharp knife, go out and kill one of your chooks in your yard and pluck it and cook it, I wouldn't be able to do it because it's my pet. This is my mindset. I'm a bit twisted in the brain because we've been acculturated to live out of supermarkets, and we're divorced from the survival skills of knowing how to hunt and prepare skins and leather and make our own shoes and our own clothing, and we're completely dysfunctional. We're trained pets ourselves. Food gets thrown at us. Well, we have to pay for it, of course, but food gets thrown at us like we're pigs in a trough, but we have no means to go out and create our own food unless we know how to forage and hunt. So it is kind of an important skill to learn. And if I found someone I could totally trust, because those two men were lovely and eager, mad keen to get on Mama T out in the bush with them all alone, am I right? Oh, were they excited? But I can't trust them because males, and I didn't really know them that well. So Mama T needs to be learning those skills. Need to go completely sounds racist, but completely native, as in to know how to survive. Like Indigenous people lived for thousands and thousands of years, living off the land and from the bounty of the sea on the shorelines, and fishing and gathering. And yes, we are. We're in a giant open air prison, and we're just force-fed food that we don't even know what's in it half the time, laden with chemicals. It's disturbing, people of Earth. It's a bit fucking disturbing. And yet I'm struggling to push myself beyond that mindset and learn how to hunt and fish and shoot. And I did did take up archery when I got my small inheritance at the end, September 2012. I think I did archery in early 2013. It was expensive, very expensive, and I wasn't good at it because I've got mixed vision. So my left eye is dominant, but I'm right-handed, but they didn't work that out till the end of the class why I couldn't shoot straight, for the love of all the gods. $325 later, for fuck's sake, which is a lot of money to me back in those days. Even that was a lot of money. So, but now I know if I ever go and learn how to shoot a gun or do archery again, I need to shoot left-handed to line up with my vision so I can, have it in a direct line and actually hit the fucking target. Anyway, I mean, you have to laugh. I'm such an oddball. I can't even get that to be right. But anyway, you kind of have to laugh. I'll carry on with my reading because I segued out again. Anyway, I look up from the coffee table. This is still in a dream. I'm sitting with the two women friends. The whole house is painted a very pristine, sterile white, and I'm shocked to see a group of about 18 men and a few women sitting at a large board table, also painted white. They looked young, in their 30s, and they are staring at me in awe. A few of the men are older and clearly in charge. I realised they are having a meeting. One asks me, "Did you really join an outlaw clubhouse?" I smile and say, "Yes, right off the street. I didn't know anyone there. But I was made welcome for 8 months." They all look at each other in surprise. Then I realise they are a clubhouse too, but I am interrupting their meeting. So I go upstairs, chuckling to myself about small worlds and how I find my way into the most extraordinary spaces. "They will never forget you," the spirits remind me. I reply sanguinely, "Probably not, but I paid a hefty price for my courage and decency." I was actually threatened with a teeny tiny lady pistol, so tiny that it could fit in a woman's evening bag. I didn't even think it was real, to be honest. And then someone protecting me behind me said, "It's real, Tanya. Just be cool, Tanya." So the Tanya decided to be very fucking cool indeed. But I was protected by that man, so I'm grateful for that. Who threatens to shoot someone in the arm for protecting and defending herself after one of their members' friends came upstairs while I was playing pool with the VP's wife, threatening to rape me? And so when I arced up about that, as I do because I'm a trauma survivor, their response was to call me downstairs and threaten to shoot me. You don't do that to the Tanya, just saying. I don't give a fuck who you are, where you are, what kind of pants you put on, left foot, right foot, what status you are. Don't ever threaten to rape me and expect me to be happy about that and accept it and go along quietly with it. If I arc up, it was for good reason. I think they probably worked that out later on after the piece, but I didn't go back anyway, so there is that. And the president did let it be known to me later on that he did not know what had happened, and he was very annoyed because he considered himself my friend and he liked me and wondered why I never came back actually. So I got to find that out at least. And that's when I said, "Oh, well, I love you too. You've been a good friend to me, but can't be going back to an organisation that threatens me with pistols, and you've got your young guard fighting the old guard. I said, it's not cool what's going on. But it was around the time that we had the Campbell Newman bullshit shutting everything down, because there were shootings down on the Gold Coast. So there was all that background. So all the clubhouses got shut down. They weren't allowed to wear their colours anymore, or their patches. And it was kind of dangerous. And then there was a drive-by shooting, which I guess I was lucky I wasn't in the clubhouse when that happened, because I probably potentially could have been hurt. So they actually, by threatening me out of there, were actually in a backhanded way protecting my sorry ass, because I wasn't a member and I wasn't technically an associate because I didn't have a partner there. And so who was I? I was just this woman that came and played pool and had a few drinks and, was hoping to actually find a partner one day. But, again, that wasn't permitted by my friend, the president. Told me straight, said, you'll never get a partner in this clubhouse. I simply won't allow it. I said, well, they're all too young for me anyway. He said, no, that's not the reason. I said, what's the reason? He said, you're too good for them, Tanya. I won't allow it. That's how much that man loved me and held me in high regard. So he was literally cock-blocking me from ever finding a loving partner. Oh, so after 8 months, I guess, I'd had my fun meeting people there and having my drinky poos and some amazing pool games I had with the VP's missus. Though she was an amazing pool player. It's very hard to beat her because she could have been a champion, that woman. She was a very, very clever woman. But anyway, my mission had been completed, is what I'm saying. The angels actually literally sent me there. I was ordered to go there under orders, and I was terrified because I didn't know anyone. I didn't know what danger I would be in, and astonishingly they made me welcome the first time I went there, and was welcome, by and large, by the older guard for 8 months. And yes, it's a funny old world. And as I said here, it's funny how I find myself in the most extraordinary spaces sometimes, but fortunately I haven't been put on any of those kind of missions ever again. I guess whatever I was sent there for had been, fulfilled. Not that I did anything really. Didn't really do anything that astonishing. But anyway, I don't understand it, but it's in the lap of the gods. And here I write, no man wanted me after that. They wrongly assumed I was an onion. An onion is a woman who gets basically gang raped in a clubhouse. It's been known to happen. That was the level of danger I put myself in, actually, by going there. And sometimes they are willing participants in that, having, group sex with lots and lots of men. Often it can be willing, but sometimes it's not so willing. And so that's kind of somebody that's perceived to be an onion is just discarded fucking trash. So here's the astonishing thing. They wrongly assumed I was an onion instead of a warrior goddess queen, riding myself through my own traumatic life the best way I could. Alone, broken, but fiercely determined to find my tribe and my safe landing. Ultimately, there is no tribe for me. Well, that's not true. I thought that back at that point in time when I had that dream and I wrote that piece of prose. I think I've found my tribe now. I think I have. The last 12 months have demonstrated such solidarity with me, In the superficial world of the dance space each weekend, I've found my tribe, people who treat me with honour and respect and kindness. That's a good enough tribe for me. I will have to form my own tribe of people with the same moral fibre and stiff backbone who will stand up in the face of global tyranny and catastrophe. Are there any out there like me? I often wonder. Who will be proud to be by my side? Interestingly, I went to the Brooklyn Standard for the first time after that night that I wrote this piece. My blood just had a little chill because I've got chills because I'm talking about finding a tribe, and that night I found my tribe. Isn't that amazing? Fuck, I'm psychic sometimes. Or I stumble into my own hell loops or timelines. Sometimes I stumble into things and don't realise for a while what's going on. Anyway, where was I? Are there any out there like me, I wonder? Who will be proud to be by my side, on my side, and will hold me in deep reverence and high regard? Only my few true friends can achieve that. And Charlie Bird, of course. Here's me with my little Charlie Bird looking at me with deep reverence and high regard. Oh, isn't she beautiful? She's so beautiful. There was something else I wanted to say about being at the clubhouse for 8 months. There were a few weird altercations that happened because Mama T, I don't know why that happens, but there were a few unpleasantnesses before I got threatened out by the young guard. But the night that there was intense unpleasantness happening, again with a young man, very young man, could have been a grandchild too. Oh no, not a grandchild, but could have been old enough to be my son, being very sexually aggressive. And so I reacted, and I won't go into details about it, but I reacted. And the founding member of that particular clubhouse was watching. He saw how I handled it actually. And I was conscious that he's watching. And now the other thing, there's a code of conduct in a clubhouse, although they didn't actually ever sit me down and tell me what the code of conduct was. So I broke quite a few rules unwittingly because no one had ever told me. It's kind of like they just wanted me to learn on my feet and fumble and stumble along, am I right? So there were a few things that I broke, few rules I broke. One was my swearing, which was difficult because I've always sworn since I was a baby, 4 years old. It's my mama lotion. It's ingrained into me. You know, I grew up with people with potty mouth who were very aggressive and violent and always screaming at each other. So I can swear like a sailor, and sometimes, you know, when I've had a few drinks and something happens to trigger me, out comes the language, right? So I always made an effort to be very super respectful because I was a guest in that space, not a paid member, not an associate, didn't have a boyfriend. The only reason I was there was I was indulgently kind of nursed along and tucked under their wing from the time I audaciously invited myself off the street. I think they just found it all a bit kind of amusing, to be honest. So the mouth would happen and I'd come out with my swearing or And then it was just kind of very quickly explained, there's no swearing allowed in the clubhouse, Tanya. You've broken a code of conduct. You've got to rein that in. Okay, I said, I will try to, but it's very hard for me. And they said, yeah, we've kind of figured that out, that's your normal mode of speech. So they said, we've kind of made allowances for it, but don't direct that language at anyone maliciously or out of, like deliberately. Okay, I'll pull that up. So I pulled that up. And then there was another code of conduct that you were not allowed to be aggressive or violent, which is why I got arseholed out with the teeny tiny lady pistol. But it wasn't fair, because the only reason I got aggressive was because I was being threatened with rape upstairs. And they could see it on CCTV, but they probably didn't have sound and couldn't hear the actual whole conversation, what was being said. I'm making excuses here because, I don't know, one would think if you're recording with CCTV that you would get voice recording as well. I don't know. But anyway, this other incident that happened prior to that, the foundation member was there watching the whole thing, and I could see he was kind of waiting to see what I was going to do. And I was trying to hold it together and hold my temper and contain myself, because I realised the young man was, quite frankly, out of his mind. He had a bet with me that we would play pool, and if I lost, he'd have sex with me, which I found amusing. I said, that's not going to happen, young man. You're old enough to be my son. Have a bit of bloody respect. I said also, it's a given that I will lose at this game of pool, because I'm not a professional pool player and I'm not that good. And like, you've probably been doing this since you were a kid. So you're gonna beat me, hands down. Even the foundation member was just like, they know I'm intelligent too. They know I could work these things out, Anyway, the young one and I played pool, and he bet me. And then he started getting very aggressive. I'm going to have sex with you now. We're going to have sex. We're going to have sex. I was like, fuck off, kid. Fuck off. So anyway, it got to the stage where I actually pushed him. Woman handled him away from me and held him against the wall and said, my actual words to him were, and it was kind of a channeling because I was kind of in blackout rage, to be honest. My actual words to this young man were, I'd been coming to that club for about 4 months. And I said, I've been coming to this clubhouse for 4 months. I said, and everyone but everyone, every man, woman, child, and even their dog, I said, has treated me with the most utmost honour and respect. I said, so what gives you the right and privilege to think that you can treat me any differently than anyone else in this clubhouse? And the kid thought, because I kind of had him, by the throat but against the wall, the kid, he was a kid, like maybe 25, looks at me and his eyes flicker. I think he was actually on something, to be honest. He looks at me and his eyes flicker with rage, but then he kind of realised, and he said, what was his answer? I'm trying to think how. He said, you will treat me accordingly with respect like everyone else has done. And he went, good luck with that, love, he said to me. So, of course, I'm still in my blackout rage, and I went, yeah, good luck with that. And I, let him go, and I retreated. And I walked past the foundation member, and I nodded to him and he nodded to me, and I was actually really, really scared and worried that he might be angry with me because I've been violent and aggressive in his clubhouse, even though he wasn't actually president in that point in time. You know, he brought the whole thing to Brisbane. So I was like, oh my God. I actually thought that I was going to get kicked out then and there, you know, after 4 months of going there. Anyway, here's the weird and astonishing thing. I went home with that young man because he followed me to the bus stop, and I don't know what happened, but I got triggered, and he apologised profusely, and I don't know how that whole thing even fucking happened, to be honest. It's bizarre. But I do that when I'm in like kind of life-threatening situations. I will historically would do very unusual things. It's like, you know, my psychiatrist, when my dog died, 2 weeks after my dog died, I nearly got slammed by a truck moving in on me, and I thought I was going to die. And I had actually said 12 months ago, just after my dog died, I want to die as well. I don't want to be alive without my dog. You know, the grief, I'm still grieving intensely over it, to be honest. And you should be careful what you say before the gods and the angels, because they're listening all the time. You're never alone. As I said in a video the other day, you're never alone. There are entities, interdimensional entities, sometimes light, sometimes dark, that hear your words and take you quite literally at times. You have to be very, very careful with your words. But of course, the grief was so immense, I actually said, I don't want to be here anymore. I want to follow Beauregard. And my emotional input into it was, I was giving off that vibration as well. So 9 days later, a truck starts moving in, and I thought I was going to die. And so what was my response? Went to Garden City, and I was actually minding my own business. Wasn't looking to meet a man, that's for sure. No intention of that. Some man approached me and said, you look lovely and I love all your witchy necklaces, and invited me to his home. I did go to his home, but there was no sex because I wasn't going to go there. Go friends. I was actually on the edge. He could tell. I said, look, I've just nearly died almost had a terrible accident with a truck, and I'm very triggered. So don't even think about trying anything on me, because it'll go very bad for both of us very, very quickly. He was a gentleman. He was a lovely soul. Was one of the men that wanted to take me out bush and teach me survival skills, but I chose not to go there because he was just too overly keen, you know, that I was like, oh Jesus, what am I buying into here? You know, calm your farm, Tanya Aaron's. Hold out for the one who loves you so deeply and profoundly and truly that it's right to gift him your passionate, amazing sexuality. You know, I've locked it down. It's been locked down for 10 years because of abusers. So anyway, there was that. But yes, I want to finish about the story about the foundation member of that clubhouse who was so beautiful to me. I want to cry to this day when I think about it. I don't know if he knew that I went home with the young idiot or not. That young idiot was so fucking damaged anyway. But anyway, so it was just a casual thing, and I think he was one of the last people. No, that's not correct, because that was back in 2011. Or it would have been early 2012 actually, because I was there for 4 months. Anyway, it doesn't matter now. It's one of those things. I'm a grown woman and I'm allowed to have, you know, sexual partnerships of my own choosing, of my own volition. That kind of bordered on kind of coercion though, because he'd been so fucking weird in the club, and when I clobbered him one, it's kind of, we burnt off karma together, that boy and I. He came and apologised profusely and probably under orders from the foundation member, that you don't treat my friend like that, blah, blah, blah. You better apologise, not realising that I was triggered and that I would follow through, right? Dear Goddess. Anyway, I'm not ashamed about it because I understand, I understand the full picture, and I understand why I reacted that way. Even my psychiatrist said, you get nearly killed, Tanya, and you go, your instinct is to kind of have sex, thanatos to eros. And we laughed about it, but it's actually not fucking funny. But I haven't done that for many, many years. And woe betide a man who tries to trigger me now with sexuality, thinking he's going to get that result. Because as I said to Cedric that I met at Garden City after my near death with the truck, don't trigger me because it can go either way. It's dangerous. So anyway, and as I said, he was a gentleman. But so the following week, I'm going back to what happened with that incident with the clubhouse and that young man. So the following week, I'm racked with guilt and shame and embarrassment at my actions, and I'm fully conscious that I'm a guest in their space and their clubhouse. I'm there under their auspices. They're kind of nurturing me along. They knew from the very beginning. They had me at hello, that I'm a trauma survivor and that I'm wild and that I'm indomitable and I'm an incredibly amazing woman, but I've got my issues like every other human on this planet, although mine are a bit more cumulative and complex because mine go back to the early childhood wounding, right? And those men in that clubhouse understood that because they're all varying degrees of survivors too. That's why they're in that environment. So here's the really beautiful, soul-nourishing, most gorgeous fucking thing that I've never forgotten. So I go back a week later and, everyone, oh, hi Tanya, happy to see me. And I order my Jack Daniels and Coke and before I go to play pool with the VP's missus. Because I'm being cautious to not name names because the other code of conduct is you're not supposed to speak out about what happens in the clubhouses. But this is just too beautiful and soul nourishing and important that I don't ever want it to be a secret because it was life changing for me personally. So I go to the I see that the foundation members there and I seek him out, and again probably also treading on toes, breaking some code of conduct because I'm not a member and I'm not, I don't know if they even patch women, quite frankly. They patch the men, but I don't know how all that works. So I still, after all these years, I still don't know on how many levels I was fucking up on a weekly basis, am I right? But anyway, so anyone who's in the know will be laughing at me right now. It is kind of delightful. As I said, I was stumbling through the whole thing, like a toddler with a nappy hanging off my ass, just stumbling my way through. Had no idea, what was actually expected of me or what my role really was. I was just sent there on some weird kind of a mission by my angel, nothing. Not by humans, but by something supernatural. And so I was just having to go with the flow every week. What's going to happen this week? Just go with the flow and just enjoy life while I'm there, right? That was my prima facie reason for being there. Trying to find my tribe, people who accept me and vibe with me and ultimately maybe find a loving partner as well. So I approached this much older man, or maybe not that much older. Maybe he was only about 15 or 20 years older than me. But anyway, I approached this man and I said to him, I've come to apologise about my behaviour the previous Friday. I was completely out of order and you may have guessed it by now since I've been coming to this clubhouse for 4 months. I said, but I have anger issues and a very, very, very fierce fucking temper that most of the time I keep under control because I was raised with a lot of aggression and violence in my childhood. So I said, I do strive to not be that person. And he said, stop it now, Tanya. Put his hand up. Stop it now. And I'm just looking at him like, my mouth dropped. Like, he's a very scary looking man. He had a tear under his eye, which indicates he's actually, in that subculture indicates you've killed someone. So I know he's a very dangerous man, would not want to piss him off, right? And I knew that he was the foundation member. I'd worked that out. Anyway, he said to me, stop it now. He said, never, ever, ever apologise ever again for the rest of your life, Tanya, for who you are as a person. So I looked at him. What do you mean? He said, you're all right, love. He said, you are all right. He said, I witnessed the whole thing on Friday night. He said, I saw it all. He said, I didn't intervene. He said, but I was about to. He said, you handled it so well that I didn't need to intervene. He said, and by the gods, if I had intervened, it would have gone way worse for that young man. He said, I was just on the brink of it myself. He said, so go away from me now. He said, and never apologise again. It's done. He said to me, never ever stop being you, Tanya. I'm proud of you. I burst into tears actually, but I kind of had to hide it because I didn't want to look weak in front of him. He went, never, ever, ever apologise or stop being you. And that was how much I was loved and held in high regard and respected in that clubhouse by the older ones who have lived and are wise and probably have their own cumulative traumas as well, by the way. So, but the thing that was why I wanted to burst into tears, the thing that was so astonishing about that was never in my life, and I grew up with a lot of men around me. My mother had several husbands and boyfriends and close friends. My pedophile godfather was a former lover of hers or partner. She'd lived with him when my sister was little. That's how he predated on her, the prick. But anyway, they had been in a de facto relationship at some time. I think, not sure how long they were living together, but maybe a few years. But by the time I was born, they weren't. Of course, Mum had married my father, and so Trevor and Mum and my father, they were all friends, and he was an accepted part of me, member of our family, and he was my godfather, but he didn't live with us. But he might as well have. He used to do things like break into our house if we were out shopping, and we'd come in and he'd be sitting on the couch. How'd you get in the house, Trevor? Oh yeah, I broke in. So he had no fucking boundaries. He was very fucking invasive in more ways than one, darlings. Let's just put it delicately. And so, I grew up with a lot of men around me, a lot. I had the equivalent of 5 father figures. I had Trevor, my godfather, my own biological father, Case, my de facto stepfather that Mum took up with when I was on the cruise coming back from Europe when I was 8, going on 9. Then there was my brother-in-law, my sister's husband. He was not predating on me as a child. I don't think so. No, I can't say that. So there was 4 of them. Where did I get 5 from? Oh, and the 5th one, very abusive, didn't come into my life till, my mother's beginning her decline into Alzheimer's. So the 5th male father figure who I rejected completely as a father figure because I could see he was just a con man after my mother's money. And I consistently tried to tell her that, but she was gaga and, but I'm going to have 2 castles, one in Hungary and one in Transylvania. And she showed me photos of his castles and she was convinced that he was wealthy and she was going to have a beautiful life with this man. He was just a fucking con artist. So anyway, I had the equivalent of 5 fathers, 4 growing up and 1 late, in my own fucking late middle age, basically. Or in my mid-30s, she hooked up with that asshole. Anyway, so here's the thing. Out of those 5 father figures, not one of them had been capable of being a decent, honouring father to me. I mean, Grant wasn't so bad, but anyway, I won't go into that. But not one of them protected me. Not one of them had my back as a child. I was bullied a lot at school, chronic, very bad, intense bullying. Not one of them was capable of saying this stops and it stops now. Not one of them protected me from the child sexual abuse, in fact, enabled it. Not one of them were honouring of me as a little girl, as a spirit, as a female body, as a soul. Not one of them. Like, they were that fucking venal and disgusting. So Mama T invites herself to an outlaw motorcycle organisation clubhouse off the street, not knowing anyone. And this horrible event happens where Mama T loses her temper and does get aggressive to defend herself. And this beautiful man, tells me to my face, I'm all right and I'm accepted, and to never apologise, and to never stop being me. And he recognised my worth as a woman and that he was proud of me. And that was a watershed moment back in 2000, would have been early 2012, because I'd never in my entire life growing up, or even as an adult woman, had a man tell me that he accepted me as I am and that he was proud of me. I mean, my psychiatrist, of course, has told me that, my friend Jared has told me that, but I mean, just someone outside of that tight sphere of, cone of safety and protection, no one had ever told me that before. So to this day, I want to cry when I think about that. It was just amazing, just amazing. So anyway, carry on with our reading. And indeed, this came true, because I wrote that earlier in the day, 25th of August 2023, 1 year ago. There will be wildness and dancing tonight. I will continue to dance for as long as I can, as no one ever has the right to diminish my joy, freedom, creativity, and fight for my own body and light. I will not submit to old age and decrepitude just yet, which was very difficult given how unwell I was and grieving my dog. I will delight in my own body, mind and spirit until the day I die. Life is for the living and the few hungry ghosts and revivified ones like me, who faced death a multitude of times and still came back shining. A shaman's walk, dance, combat with darkness. Alone or in good company, we ride. And my beautiful friend Sheila Snow in America, who also happens to be a shaman, although she's a credentialed one because she did courses and studied. I don't have those credentials. But I know her for many years from Pow Talk. Her Pow Talk nickname was Cheerful Spirit, and she truly is a cheerful spirit, a wonderful woman and soul. Wrote back to me, I consider you part of my tribe even though we are half the world apart in distance. The heart knows no distance. And I wrote back, oh bless sweet lady, thank you dear heart, kiss. 25th of August 2022. My iPhone is dying. It now won't charge, which is weird as it just had a system update from Apple the other day. So if I disappear off Facebook, it's because I can no longer use my iPhone. I still have my laptop if that happens. Today a package arrived from Metro South Queensland Health. They want me to submit to another colonoscopy. Hell no, I won't be doing that. I wrote, return to sender on it with a note saying that I won't be proctologized by that systemically abusive hospital ever again. I grabbed my bird and dog and we walked to the post office box and sent it back to them. I also wrote an email to my psychiatrist as they are attempting to backdoor me, quite literally, without my consent. I am utterly livid because I had already told the hospital that I didn't want to go ahead with any more colonoscopies. So they sent out that package anyway without my consent, wasting resources and money and time, which I was livid about, you know. But I didn't waste the prep or anything. I just returned it to them so they could inflict it on some other unsuspecting soul. It's how I feel about it. But anyway, I got home and laid down for a rest. It's a glorious sunny day and I will be holding my own from here on in. No medical intervention other than my usual talking therapy will I allow. Well, I've submitted under considerable finagling and convincing on the part of my psychiatrist and my urologist. I've submitted to the CPAP treatment, but you know, I'm dizzy all the time. I'm having a dizzy spell now. I'm weak all the time. It's not my bowels, although they do have a potential to growing polyps as I do for them to turn cancerous. So it is dangerous for me to reject colonoscopies actually. But I don't think the dizziness is from that. It's like a blood pressure thing and, you know, general weakness. And I've been struggling like this for months, even prior to the CPAP. The CPAP's really kind of not making me feel a whole lot better, quite frankly. But I'm continuing it because my psychiatrist insisted, and my urologist, my wonderful female urologist, insisted that it would help my bladder. Well, the first 2 weeks there seemed to be an improvement with my bladder, but it's not really helping. But anyway, I will persist with the CPAP. It takes, they say, 6 to 12 months before you respond to it. So I just have to be patient. It's only been 7 weeks. So I'll just have to be patient and persevere and pray that my health improves so I can have my beautiful life, potentially with a beautiful man in my life as well, a loving partnership, and fulfill all my goals, dreams and aspirations for the next, my psychiatrist thinks I've got another 20 to 30 years in me. The way I feel, I very much doubt that, but I've been wrong before, you know. I've had so many near-death experiences in my life since childhood, thinking that it was all over Red Rover and I was not going to survive, and the gods consistently kicked me back to earth. So I've been wrong before about my own dying and death. But I am conscious that as an older woman with respiratory problems and bowel issues and mental health issues and poverty and struggle and my own fucking fierce, intrepid nature at times, that how long is a piece of string? I could pop my clogs off this planet at any time. Ergo, the wild dancing every weekend to just wrest as much joy and excitement and passion and wildness as I can, to innovate my spirit to keep me going for the following week and the following week, and on we go and on we go. But I really should be in recovery mode after 4 hours of dancing last night. I mean, there were breaks. I have breaks. When the band goes on their break, I stay on the floor sitting at the table and I have my break too. So there are breaks. So I guess out of 4 hours of dancing, the band played for 4 hours with breaks. One's a long break and one's a shorter break. I guess I only danced wildly consistently for 3 hours out of that whole 4 hours. So it's not so bad, but I should be resting today. But I'm innovated and I'm happy and I'm excited, and I wanted to tell you, my YouTube audience, about my wild dance last night and that unusual spiritual button pushing about being married to the band. And as I said, I am married to the band, but not in the sense of a blood contract or a contractual sign with the devil kind of thing. It's quite voluntary and beautiful and heartfelt and soul nourishing, my coming to dance for both Ramjet and Alter Egos at the Brooklyn Standard and at other venues too on occasion. So I do it willingly, joyfully, and most of the times peacefully, unless someone gets too fucking fresh with me and then they get put in their place, you know. So I have to maintain my body autonomy and protect myself. But anyway, here we are, we continue reading. I had to heal myself from the last chest infection, still no COVID. However, I have zero trust in my now former GP, and I'm yet to go to a new doctor, which I have a new doctor now, but I'm still kind of avoiding going to him unless I absolutely have to. I kind of have to now because I need a script for something, and I need to find out the state of my blood pressure, and I may need to get checked for diabetes, although I'm terrified of that prospect. But my friend Jared, who recently was diagnosed with diabetes, said you better do it, Tanya, because it can burn out your organs and send you blind and blah, 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 and it's quite dangerous. So I may have to go and get that checked too. But anyway, I don't want to live my life constantly fucking focusing on illness. It's destructive, it's negative, and it's actually cumulative, living in that constant level of stress. So I've been living kind of my classic manic denial, pushing myself out, living my best life no matter what, no matter where, no matter when, no matter who. In denial, am I right? So I do need to see that lovely new doctor. And just find out what the cause of the constant dizziness is at least. But here I write, I won't be coerced into colonoscopies after the last trauma last year. No, I will not. That is a hill I will die on. I may die of that fucking particular hill, which is a scary thought. So I may change my mind down the track, maybe when it's too late to change my mind, which is a scary thought. But as I said, I'm choosing life every day in my own unique, weird way, and flying in the face of my own fragility at times. 25th of August, 2021. Here we have, I took a photo of these lovely flowers that were on a tree. I don't know what kind of shrub they were, but they were very pretty. Let me just see if you can see them, because sometimes I show you things and, oh yes, there they are. I don't know what they are, but they were unusual and pretty. And then on the right here we have me with walking Beauregard and Charlie. Oh, we had fun together. I miss my dog. I really miss my dog. Now finishing off the second half of the fleece. This was the mammoth task I did for weeks and weeks. Had to fight my way through that. Oh! So, I almost fell off my perch, didn't I there? Mama T regularly falls off her perch. But don't worry, she climbs back on it again. I'm very fucking intrepid at times. It's astonishing at times. My cousin Melissa Rose Kelly wrote, I think you might have been fleeced, lol, and I laughed. And then I wrote, halfway done, but it's nearly midnight. Pardon me. And I'm done for the night. Oh my goddess, look at all that work. Look at it. I was just intrepidly at it every day for weeks, fighting my way through. Amazing what I do when I can set my mind. If I applied that kind of willpower and determination to love affairs, I'd be fucking dangerous. I'd be a stalker, or I'd be a kidnapper, or I'd be something. Well, we don't want to do that, do we, darlings? We just want to have sweetness and true love and requited loves and joy in our lives, and just happiness and peace and comfort and ease and affection, and really good sex one day would be nice. I guess I'm too old for that now, though. Probably too old for it. I don't even see, it's all fantasies in my head. It's just like, turn that off. Be real, Tanya. I'm an older woman now. But my mother remarried at 73. My mother was a lusty wench by the gods. Serial monogamist. I never wanted to be a serial monogamist. That's why I never married again. I'm not doing that. Not going to trap me into that hell loop. No, 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 no. But anyway, 25th, I kind of have to laugh. 25th of August, 2020. Megan's fairy now has, I was making a fairy for my cousin, has arms, flowers on the boots, still need to make his or her face, hair, wings. Wings are made but need reinforcing with wire. The pants are made but need sewing up. Bit of body sculpting, then it will be ready to post. Oh, and then I sent it to her and her dog ate its face off. So she had to get some elderly lady to crochet another face, and it wasn't the same. It was just another mishap that happened with one of my fairy gifts that I gave to people. So upsetting, very upsetting. Oh, here's the little booties. Anyway. I sewed up this fairy body too. This one is a gothic fairy. I had started her last year but did not finish her, so I'm finishing off 2 fairies now. And that one I gifted to Lynn. She loves it. And then Brecky wrote, interesting how this one will look. Great you were working on this. So I showed her the photo of the finished product, that's what she looks like from the pattern in the book. I've got one, I gave one to Lynn and I made another one for myself, but I've got her up for sale at Spellbound Mana, but you know, no one's bought anything. So mind you, I charged the right amount of money for it, but it's a lot of money, people won't pay it, but it's a fair price, it's what it's worth. I had that on very good advice from a wonderful woman that approached me at the Kilcoy markets and said, you're selling your fairies way too cheap and this is what the going price is, go and check it. And I did, but you know, I put the right price on it and she's not selling because people aren't spending the money. And I replied, she is named Cobweb, the fairy doll, not the lady at Kilcoy, who was beautiful to me. Oh, that was spiritual meeting them. We'd had such a hellish day at that market. Jared nearly died, went into some kind of coma. I freaked the fuck out. I was helping run both our stalls because he was so ill that I thought I was going to lose him. We made no money or very little money. And then this wonderful alternative family came. We'd been under attack all day from fundamentalist Christians hissing at me for having a gothic looking fairy and said it was a demon. I went, yeah, she's Lilith. Oh, it's a demon. They hissed at me. They were that fucking pig ignorant people. It was awful. And so I was getting more and more distressed and triggered. And I was just about at the stage where I was ready to tell them all to fuck off because I was sick of their shit, their ignorant religiosity, evil, bigoted shit. And because, you know, a lot of Christians think that fairies are demonic. Where they got that idea, I mean, there's light and dark and everything, isn't there? But, you know, where they got that crazy idea that all fairies are demonic from, I have no idea. It's ridiculous. But anyway, they were that nasty and quite blatantly rude. And here I was having a friend who was very ill on top of it. And then we were sitting there at that market in the evening, they were having fireworks, and this family came along and they just stopped and looked and paused. And I turned to Jared and said, that family have been sent to us and they will buy something from us. I guarantee it. That just came out of my mouth randomly, almost like I knew them. It was very magical and psychic, and I had a psychic link to those people based off what? They were just standing there, and they were wonderful, kind people. And the wife said to me straight away, she said, you're selling your fairies too cheap. You're undercutting yourself. Your jewellery is too cheap too, she said. Stop that now. Know your own worth. I'm looking at her. I took her hand and I kissed it. I said, you, my darling, have been a balm to my soul this evening, and you are an earth angel. She just smiled this most serene smile at us. Like it was the most normal thing to be told in the world. Her husband was so in love with her. He kept looking at her and she said, buy this, and he would just hand the money over. And I'm like, oh, they were gorgeous. Not because of the money transaction thing, but that was another example. She just stood in her own regal way and, yes, you'll buy this. Here's the money. He was like a bubbly little Labrador puppy and she was like a queen. I was like, oh, I need a man like that. Treats me like a queen. so happy and excited to be in my energy that he's just boundlessly joyful. Oh, they had a beautiful relationship. It wasn't weird and fucked up and BDSM either. It was just, I mean, I guess you could say there was a little bit of that vibe there because she was just so powerful in her own core, but they were a beautiful couple. They had lovely little children. Oh, what a shame. What a shame we didn't swap numbers and keep in contact, but it kind of would have been a bit inappropriate given they'd come to my market stall to buy from me. But, oh, they were a lovely family. When they left, I said to Jared, I said, the fairies have brought people to us who vibe with us. Find your vibe, find your tribe. I said, after this awful evil from Christians all day, they sent us our people. She wore an underbust waspy as well. The way she was dressed, I knew she was, witchy and alternative like me. As soon as I saw her, I went, here's our people, Jared. Don't worry, all is well. Anyway, we didn't even cover our cost of our rent that day. We didn't make shit. And he nearly died, and it was a very traumatizing day in many ways, but we were shown our people are out there and they see us and they recognize us and they love us unconditionally when we meet, when we come across each other, It was really quite a powerful lesson that day. Very, very powerful reminder to not fall into despair and just wait for the right ones who love us and recognize our soul journeys and our spirits and our souls and, recognize our magic and our power and our love to come find us. Am I right? Although that young man last night constantly banging on about me being married to Scott was a bit astonishing, He's married already. So, it's not really a potentiate. But I kind of had to laugh about it. I thought, oh, that's cute. The spirits are, giving me the dead needle, because sometimes they do that just out of sheer mischief. I just used grandmother spider analogy. I'm on some synchronistic vibe lately. Oh, meaning that I named the fairy cobweb? I don't know. Don't know what I was on about that there. But anyway, grandmother spider is great magic and sitting in your web and just waiting. Those who were wise did that with the COVID epoch. We just sat very quietly and observed while everyone else lost their heads. We got busy building our web, in my case, creating jewellery and knitting fairies and being really creative, keeping myself busy all the time, as grandmother spiders do, and then being prepared so that, when we know when to move forward into the next direction in life. I made a spare pair of legs for another rainbow fairy, so that would be 3 on the go. And my friend Brecky Tit in Amsterdam wrote, I can see and or feel the rain part. Makes me think of a child playing in summer rain. Also, these pink flowers on the fairy. A few weeks ago, I dressed up my clay earth goddess with exactly the same flowers. And I replied, cute. She replied, maybe it is the flowery version of rose quartz, need of tenderness and self-love. And I replied, yes, I love rose quartz. Do you see now, this woman I've never met in real life, on the other side of the planet, completely resonates and understands my spirituality and my path. A stranger, well, we're not strangers after years of communicating on Facebook, but initially a stranger that I actually allowed on my friendship page, which is unusual. I don't usually allow strangers. We must have spoken in some forum somewhere so that I added her. But, you know, someone I've not met in real world, face to face, in the flesh, completely fucking gets me and resonates with me all on the other side of the planet in the Netherlands. This is the astonishing and amazing and magical thing about having the internet. This is the hat I made last night. I think I showed you that hat yesterday too. Makes me feel like knitting another fairy, but they don't sell, but I guess I could just put it away as a gift for someone. Yes, those flowers. I changed the colour of the hat to mauve. The original design was all greens and I didn't like the puce coloured green. Hate colour puce. I'll show it to you. So I made it more purpley and mauvey colours. But you know, I mean, you're knitting the fairies, you can knit them whatever your favourite colours are, whatever colour you like. The lady who designed, her name's Fiona MacDonald, she just happened to choose greens, you know, and it's pretty. It is pretty, but I just don't like the colour. Personally, I don't like the colour puce, so that's why I changed the colour for mine. I thought the green wings looked a bit boring. And Brecky wrote, yes, that blue, especially the fading to purple, is magic. See how she just gets me? Oh, I'd like to meet her in real world one day. I need to win a massive big lotto so I can travel to all the sacred spaces and visit my friends in those places. Got a wonderful friend, Laura Martin, in Canada, and Brecky in Amsterdam, and Louise Winton in Manchester, and there's others all over the world. That would be lovely to meet them. It's a fantasy in my head that I can't quite manifest yet. Got to be positive, people. But you know, it's really lovely, the love that's been flowed to me over many years from people I haven't even met in person and like in daily everyday life. I've also been making these little balls out of the scraps of wool I get as offcuts off each fairy. Waste not, want not. It's fun making them with felting needles. Not even sure what to do with them. I decided to add 2 balls to the top of the hat as added decoration. And my cousin Megan wrote, bloody gorgeous cousin. I think you knit well enough to make the cardigan. I wonder how long one would take to knit. Weeks or months, I replied. I have been thinking about making another pure wool cardigan, but I'm still wearing my mother's ancient one, and when that finally, you know, gets too tatty, I guess I'll knit one then. 25th of August 2019. Last night, while chatting to Nigel in New Zealand, another Facebook friend or Paltalk friend that I've never met in person, been a friend of mine for 20 years now, I mentioned twice to him about my friend Richie pointing the bone with good humour, as I don't think he meant to do me harm. Well, I think he did actually in that moment. But anyway. Then I went to the freezer to put some cooked food away, and a very large marrow bone fell out and smashed onto my foot with the hard, bony end. It felt like being smashed by a hammer. There is a little red pointed mark where it hit me. The bruising is not too bad yet, as I put ice on it, but someone upstairs literally pointed the bone at me again. So it's time to smudge and salt my home and perimeter of the garden again. The spirits from across the road where the land has been destroyed are still angry. Bobo spent most of the night running to that part of my fence line and barking at invisible beings invisible to me anyway. Oh, they are more annoying than Siri eavesdropping on my conversations, then stabbing me with bones out of the freezer. Funny, not. I cast ye out, restless demons. Oh, I wrote daemons. Daemons is slight distinction there. You can stay and play at sacred space only if you respect my peace, my safety, and my authority, not even joking about that. Then I posted a photo of my foot, but I can't actually... Oh yeah, there is a bit of a red mark where it stabbed me. Anyway, it's not that bad. It just hurt a lot. I have smudged and salted my sacred space. I have returned all negativity to the original source, to the power of 10. All beings not of loving kindness, honour, respect, universal love are cast out from my home, garden, animals, friends and family. Only true love, peace is welcomed here. Amen Vasala. Time for a shower. 1:46 p.m. I have showered and just smudged my car as well. I actually should smudge my car. There's been too many things going wrong with my car lately. Or things associated with my car that have gone wrong. I thoroughly enjoyed my neighbour across the road freaking out and running inside at me doing my prayers around the house, smudging the perimeter of my fence line. Because I read Psalms and I yell them out really loudly to chase the demons and the evil spirits out, and so it scares the Christian neighbours. Meh, too bad. They don't have my walk. They can live their little oblivious, little secular, boring lives. I have to deal with my own shit, often on a daily basis too. All negativity returned to their appropriate senders. That's probably why they were freaking out, actually. Might have even come from them, their jealous and envy and spite towards me. Had a lot of that over the years. I read Psalms out loud. It was a very powerful smiley face. It looks crazy to the uninitiated, like I'm fully conscious of that. But do I give a fuck? No. I had to laugh when I got to the part in one of the Psalms about a flowing river, and in that moment I was standing on the edge of the flowing leak on the front verge as I salted the perimeter right to the street. I cast my eyes to heaven and yelled out, "Aight, can you get those vile creeps to fix this leak as well, O Holy One?" It was hilarious. Funnily enough, it got fixed too. Well, I mean, I guess it was going to get fixed eventually anyway, but I might have precipitated it a bit by praying out loud. Megan wrote, "It's a regular thing to do. It keeps evil out for a spell, then it's time to smudge again." And I replied, "Yes, I rather enjoyed the casting out of negativity. I will do it as often as required. Of course, my awful neighbours deem me mad, but it's okay. My home, my sacred space, they can own their own shit." What did I say to my little bartender girl last night? Al, own your own shit and continuously live your very best life, babies. Megan wrote, "Mine needs cleansing also, not today though." And then I wrote, "The dog tour is in," because he really was like having a little doctor in the house, nursing his mama back to full health. My baby boy. Can you see him? There he is. My baby boy. Look at his face worrying. You can see him worrying about me. Really worrying. It's so much stress with me. It's probably not surprising that his bloody life got shortened with all the stress. getting splenal masses and all that shit. But I blame it on I blame that on the Bravecto. I think they killed my dog too. But bear that as it may, it is true. He had a lot of stress too. He did. A lot of chickens to chase and pussycats to chase, and Mama never feeling all that well. It was stressful for him. 25th of August 2018, 4:15 a.m. Mama T, aka the Tanya, is home safe from a wonderful night out. Oh my God, I started out the night dancing with my beautiful joyous friends and tribe at Ecstatic Dance. We left a tad early as Jenny was feeling unwell, so I took her home, then drove back to the casino. That's a fair bit of bloody commitment to the dance, Tanya. But anyway, I got there around 11 p.m. and danced most of the night until 3:30 a.m., which is amazing given I'd already had 2 hours of ecstatic dance as well. So what's that? 3:30 from 11, 4.5 hours plus the 2 hours at ecstatic dance. 5.5 fucking hours I danced that night. When the energy finally sank down into the abyss like a lead balloon, I danced with so many wonderful friends, old and new. I had a fantastic time. 2 nights from a full moon, and this little wolf woman, berserker, went completely wild. Well, not completely, as I came home alone, as per usual. So now, in those days, I would have been 3 years of being completely celibate, because I stopped any of that nonsense in 2015, which, that last evil bullshit kind of precipitated my suicide attempt as well, amongst all the other issues that were going on concurrently that year. So that's why I shut down my sexuality for 10 years, basically. I've only just started blossoming out again, flirting, being mischievous and a little bit, cheeky, but I still haven't gone there. I'm waiting for my man who loves me so deeply and truly that he's worthy of my sexuality. I'm never going to sleep with a man again, willingly at least. Hopefully the alternative doesn't happen, unless he loves me, because I had enough of being trashed by men over the decades. Quite enough. It's not survivable. So now I'm unfurling my intrepid but tightly wound muscles like a lotus flower in my bath, sipping tea and feeling peaceful and blissful, listening to the early morning bird song and my beloved Beauregard gnawing on a very large bone. I will probably not be able to walk or move much tomorrow. I mean today. Oh, and a storm is brewing. Hopefully we get some much yearned for rain. No wonder my energy was so frenetic. Storms and full moons do that to me. Yes, they do. I do love full moons and storms. I really, really do. Not in a negative triggering that I'll launch into a sexual act with someone out of, like, as I described, nearly dying, but just a beautiful, juicy, mischievous kind of vibe, Oh, well, there you go. I'm still alive in these old lady bones is what I'm saying. Might not be doing anything with it, but I'm still alive, and I'm enjoying being alive. Here I write, Lila Tov, good night. Post-dancing contentment. Back in 2018. I kind of look exhausted but content. Charlie just took a bath just as it started raining. Funny guy when we thought Charlie was a boy. Which she's outside, so probably need to bring her in soon. This is a long video because I'm tired. I kept segueing into other stories, and I have a suspicion I repeat my stories a lot, but I guess you get to see new versions of the same story, or sometimes fresh perspectives I might bring in. But yes, I'm conscious that I'm getting a bit old and I'm repeating things. That's not good. I'll have to create new stories, babies. Just saying. Sitting in my garden with my bare feet on the ground, Beauregard beside me, Charlie also, feeling exhausted but happy, rain drizzling slowly, hitting my face and arms and legs, grateful to be alive, to be surrounded by positive, life-affirming, life-enhancing people. Just had a chat with my daughter, who is the love of my life. Yes, she is, even though we're not speaking anymore, we're estranged. She and my other daughter, who's been estranged for even longer, were and will always be the loves of my life. I created them from with my own body. Their souls were gifted to me to be my children, and yeah, I fucked up along the way. Life wasn't easy for us, so I lost them, but they still and forever will be the loves of my life. Whether we ever communicate with each other again or see each other again, that remains. I'm not going to change my opinion about that. Sometimes I think they're fucking little assholes, and sometimes I get into steep decline of depression over it, but you know, there were happy times we had too, and they're my creations, vessels. I was the vessel of their birth, if nothing else. And I poured so much love into them growing up that obviously wasn't enough, but wasn't for lack of trying, just saying. But I won't be bitter. I will focus on the ones who love me at this moment in time and are ennobling and kind, and let the rest just slough the fuck off. When my daughters, plural, one or the other or both, are ready at some time, if ever, in the rest of our existence, they know where I live. They know how to find me. I remain their mother. Just saying. But anyway, I really missed her terribly when she was in the UK. Yes, I suffered like an animal most of the time and ate my own liver worrying about her safety over there most of the time, to the point it cost me a gallbladder. Probably that was a contributing factor too. Apart from the fact that I had bad diet and HRT blows out gallbladders, there was the stress of constant worrying over my adult daughter living her best life in the UK, but not actually having quite enough money, and I worried about her safety. It was a very, very scary time for me as a parent. She is being extra loving and attentive after my recent health scares. Every day is a gift yet to be greeted with both surprise and a certain amount of equanimity. I never know what is going to evolve, but just going with the flow, knowing I am loved, valued, even from my small mishugas ways, means crazy ways, and supported is a warm solace to my heart and soul. Later I wrote, I will not let the corruption and repression of our current zeitgeist restore me to my former major depression. I will look to the gods of light, love and truth, justice of the Sephirot, which is more balanced and fair than human justice. Honour and integrity and grace shall be my values, so I may merit Be'ezrat Hashem, that means by the will of God, and by Thor and Odin and Freya, and I don't know, maybe Papa Legba, whom I culturally appropriated to protect me from a certain passionate, determined Baptist African-American suitor, a measure of peace in my crondom. I guess I can thank Herb for that he brought Papa Legba into my life, because that voodoo god, the guardian of the crossroads and of the underworld, the equivalent of, Hades, who was the god of Hades in Greek mythology? The equivalent of Anubis in Egyptian mythology, the other equivalences. No, it is Hades and Persephone. Well, anyway, he's the voodoo equivalent. Death takes the souls into the underworld and keeps them precious till their next incarnation or their evolution into the other dimensions. Anyway, I can thank him for bringing that cultural motif into my life, because it's been a very protective spirit, actually, and very benevolent and loving. My daughter freaked out and said, "Oh, you don't know what you're doing, and you're going to get demonically possessed." And I said, "Have you turned Christian on me, you idiot? Like, you know nothing. You know nothing if you think it's demonic. Of course there's light and dark and everything, and there is a risk with everything. But that spirit has been nothing but benevolent and kind to me, and at times protective. So I carry on in my Jewish but witchy shamanic walk of making offerings to him. Of the moment he's got a cigar, and I think I need to replenish his Jack Daniels, but I gave him, he's had rum and he's had limoncello. I try to give him a bit of variety, because gods are like people. The variety is a spice of life, babies. They like their little treats. But anyway, honour your own gods and know your own shit, and be kind and respectful, and you'll be surprised how magical, beautiful things unfold for you, with harm to none and competition with none. So it is done. I always put that little disclaimer on the end. The gods must be crazy, but I am in co-creatorship, stewardship with them, and it blesses me and fills me with joy to see how my tiny, insignificant, mortal heart is beating her fragile but berserker truths into new paradigms and potentialities each second. And right now I've got chills running all through my body, vibrating with the mana coming from that spirit, because he's telling me he's happy that I am acknowledging him in public, that he is indeed a benevolent force of good, unless you dishonour and disrespect him, of course. Don't ever do that to the gods, ever. It's not wise. But I'm getting these positive vibrations of just powerful love and joy and bliss. The Holy One in all manifestations of holiness and goodness across all cultures and mythologies. It's powerful and it's beautiful. Here I write, maybe it's madness, maybe it's Maybelline, maybe I am finally in my own spirit, mind, body, soul, integrating my existence in this moment. Delusion or illusion, the paradox of life, the matrices and vortices and portals to the macrocosm, as above, so below. We've got Gaia and the universe, mutters as an aside, I must make an offering to Papa. Time for a cigar, laughing my ass off. Indeed. Now, what year was that? Just scrolling back, I think 2018. So I've been in relationship with that voodoo god for at least 6 years, maybe longer, but I really brought him in, asked him to protect me with the bullshit that was going on. Not with Herb, the Baptist African American. It was driving me a bit crazy, to be honest. But with that Wiglet Dave, that I knew it was a spiritual, weird, fucked up thing that I kept running into him at crossroads. So I invoked him. I have an actual altar to him at all times now. Papa Legba, for protection from that one. Because that one was so vicious and so malevolent, you know. I would flow love to him, and it was just like having shit splattered right back in your face, that I had to completely cut it out of my life completely, cut cords, had to do quite a few magical workings to cut that love, to just literally slice it right out of my life. And even after doing all of that work, plus therapy concurrently ongoing all the time, I was getting haunted by him as a living human man at crossroads. It was too much. I had to stop. So there's a reason why I invoke certain gods and angels into my magical workings if I'm in need of extra protection, by the way. 25th of August 2017. Today's gift from Sacred Space. The new weeping rose is in bloom. Amazing. And it was a glorious rose, and I'm so sad that it died. But anyway, everything has its lifespan, even roses. Can you even see it? I can't see if you can see it. Let's go in closer. It's not very brightly coloured, so that's probably why. I mean, it is bright, but the photo didn't come up bright. I don't know why. Here is some little lavender flowers I had that were quite pretty too. They've died too, because the white ones haven't got those anymore. And those little purple ones with the unusual, I don't know what you call that, but anyway, they've also died. Well, you know what that means, don't you? Mama T has to spend a lot of money on her garden, which I've spent thousands on this garden over the 21 years I've lived here, and replace plants. I'm going to replace the weeping rose eventually, because it's expensive, and because I miss it. It's lonely here without it in the front garden. Oh. Beauregard, Charlie and I went for a short walk to the dog park. It was agonising for me, but I thought a walk might do me good. Beau played with a tennis ball in the small dog area and loved it so much he was reluctant to come home. I wanted to leave before it got busy, as he is savage with other dogs. Charlie learned how to drink out of the water fountain after watching me do it. He loved it. It was hot at the park, so I splashed water over him as well. He loves going out with Beau and me for walkies. I carry him on a stick, as otherwise he poops epic runny rainbow lorikeet poop all over me. He hated not sitting on my shoulder at first, but today he seemed quite content to be kept on his stick perch. Some young handsome guy arrived just as we were leaving, So I put the stick over my shoulder to keep Charlie away from the guy's big bulldog. The guy shot me a sweet grin. People are always amazed to see Charlie out with us. On the walk back, I had to take my shoes off to walk barefoot as it hurt too much on my back. All good. Then I summoned up the strength to vacuum the floors. Still need to mop, but resting again. I gave Beauregard a bath and a brush today also. He looks lovely. Weird guy in my bathroom. Also today a caterpillar had made its way out of my rubbish tin, came in on the rose leaves that has black spot that I threw out, all the way across the floor, and was trying to hide under the cat feeding mat, which freaked me out. I put it back in the bin. It will be interesting to see where it crawls tomorrow. But I took a photo of this in my bathroom, a little praying mantis. It's funny how I keep getting praying mantises climbing on me randomly. I had one recently. Apparently they mean good luck, and they tell it also means to be patient, exercise patience and circumspection and kind of observe before reacting. So I found that really interesting because, a week or so ago I was going through all that stress with all the fighting with Optus and the parking fines and they're needing a new windscreen and all that turmoil, and it was just like, just chip away at it, one thing at a time, bing, bang, boom, be patient and just ride the storm out. I think by the will of all the gods and all manifestations of holiness, I think that storm's leaving me now. I hope so. Certainly can't take any more horror. But it was about a month of struggling there. It was full fucking on. Actually, it started on about the 10th of July when I nearly stopped breathing I had a reaction to the CPAP or wasn't getting enough air. And so, yeah, it started from then when that spirit came and sat beside me and taught me through breathing properly again and pulling it back together. So yes, so from the 10th of July till now is what, 6 weeks, 7 weeks. Fucking intense, man. Anyway, 6 weeks of hell, but as Winston Churchill does say, when going through hell, just keep going. I've intrepidly fought my way through, literally fought. On the 12th I had that massive fight as well. I fought my way through, people of Earth. I've had to fight Optus, I had to fight the Brisbane City Council, and I kind of in a weird way had to fight O'Brien's because I was given one quote when I got there. They wanted to charge me more money, so that was another minor fight. I'm so tired of fighting. I just want peace and happiness and comfort and ease and my true loving partner and my health to improve and prosperity if I can manifest it. Oh my goddess. Well, Papa Legba has my back, of that I'm certain, and my goddess, meaning the Shekhinah, the divine presence of God, has my back too. So what me worry? I've just got to fight my way through and enjoy life each day. The boy went after my Maltesers on the coffee table. He grabbed the packaging in his mouth and knocked over my mug of tea, which splashed all over my iPhone. So I freaked out because the iPhone is out of warranty and grabbed the lollies away from Beau as chocolate is poisonous to dogs. I quickly dried my iPhone on my skirt, so I managed to rescue it before it got wet inside. I told Beauregard he was a bad boy. He looked really sheepish and ashamed. I moved the last of the Maltesers into the kitchen, then devoured them. Then I washed off the iPhone case. Then I took a shower as I needed one anyway, but now I was covered in tea. I threw the skirt out. It got snagged on a sharp edge of the vacuum cleaner pole today, so frankly it was kind of worn out anyway. Still annoying though. I need to buy some more skirts soon. I had to throw out quite a few that had worn out today. Anyway, all that fracas had me feeling like I just ran a marathon. I'm trying to decide if I want to go out later, as I still have back pain and only $20 left until Tuesday. Living my psychedelic dream, but my rego was paid yesterday, so that was a close call. Phew, it's due again soon too. Another slam to do with the car. But that's an ongoing one that happens every quarter, so I won't be grumbly about that. It's just a fact of life. I honestly don't know how I do it. C'est incroyable, formidable. That's French for it's incredible and formidable. All the damn time, one of my friends once gave me a fridge magnet that says, "It's exhausting being fabulous. Ha ha ha. Sarcasm is a virtue, not." So I shared a meme that says, when you're publicly high functioning despite your overwhelming mental illness, so people feel comfortable demanding a large amount of emotional labor from you and then get mad when you don't deliver because of all your effort and ability is already being exhausted maintaining your high functioning public persona. Oh my goddess, that's so true. That's me every Friday, last night on a Saturday night when I'm out dancing. People have no comprehension how much intense emotional labour it can be at times. But I manage it because it's important for me to have my dance and have my one night out in the world with my musician friends and people dancing in the club alongside me. Am I right? It's joyful. It's good for the soul. It helps enhance my creativity mentally. It's exhausting at the end, but I also have exercise for the soul, hobbit body, and it's spiritual as well for me. Sometimes, working spiritual things through my body as well, and sometimes channelings like that young man insisting that I was married to Scott, which was kind of hilarious. But as I said, there is kind of a contract between me and alter egos and me and Ramjet and me and Burst back in the day when I supported them regularly. It is kind of a contract because they're providing the music and I'm dancing as hard and as fast as I can, doing my shamanic thing, and together we build energy and create a beautiful, heart-centered, powerful space that is nurturing for whoever happens to be around us at that time, conscious, whether they're conscious or unconscious of it. It's kind of a service we're providing. Although the bands, being professional musicians, get paid for the service they're providing, but they look after me, in that club, protect me and spoil me lavishly in other ways, So there is that. So it's all good. I'm content. I'm content with what is. For my non-Jewish friends, so you know what I'm praying about or raving about, lol. And I wrote Shehechianu, which is a Jewish blessing. For the first time something comes into fruit or something blooms, or the kookaburra, the first time they've laughed today, you could technically say Shehechianu for that. For the first time you fall in love, for the first time you get over a heartache, the first fruits of the season, all sorts of first first events. I just did a little twinkle in my eye because I don't think it's meant for that first time you make love, but might be a whole other blessing for that one. Don't know what that one would be because I'm not that religious. The rabbis just all threw their hands up in the air and went, oh, well, that's the joys of being friends with the Tanya, isn't it? Yes, I used to have rabbis who were friends to me too. Oh my goodness, very soul nourishing and protective they were too. So a woman who had no safe fathers in her entire childhood ended up having many paternalistic fathers. Some I rejected, but some I allowed to get away with fathering me at times, depending on the situation or my mood, by the way. The same goes for my many mothers. Here's one I'm speaking of now. 25th of August 2016. Today Lynn and Annette visited. Lynn is one of the few women in my entire life, being friends for 36 years almost, who I allow to mother me. She sometimes mothers me, so I arc up about it, but I do love her and she's been a wonderful mother to me. And I've had other mummies during my life that were equally wonderful, but by the gods, I've also had a lot of very dangerous, fucking toxic mummies too, and fathers too. So there is that. It's a fine, very fine fucking line to navigate with me, whether I allow you to take on that parental one up, one down authority figure, parental role. I don't let that happen easily because I know how dangerous it can be when it goes toxic. I need equals in my life. Like the partnership I'm manifesting with a human man, the sexual partnership I'm manifesting, must be a king to my queen, an equal. If I sniff of someone trying to dominate me or act like they're my daddy and treat me like I'm some kind of witless fucking idiotic child, they're gone out of my life very quickly. Very, very quickly, just saying. But someone being protective and soul nourishing and kind, I allow. If I can see that it's from a heart's centered space, like when my friend Scott told me he doesn't want me to do my 360-degree mosh anymore because he worries about me injuring my neck. I wasn't happy about it, but I allowed that level of control and interference in my agency and body autonomy because I understood it was also, protecting against lawsuits or, anyone being malevolent. I'm not like that, but I can understand that might have been a worry at the time. And also, he loves me as a friend. He doesn't want to see me end up in a fucking wheelchair or with a broken neck. Or I don't think you can actually completely break your neck from moshing, but I already have quite considerable neck injuries from being strangled 3 times in my 30s and, hitting my head a few times, bad falls I've had. And so, there is that. But yeah, anyway, I don't have an issue with that because I understood, logically and intellectually and emotionally that he was having my back. So he was allowed that little bit of a paternalistic type invasion into our friendship. But, but when it comes to when I find a loving sexual partner who's available to me of my own, it must be completely fucking equal or I'm not going to go there, guy friends. Just not interested in that. I've been an autonomous, independent, wild, carefree woman all my life, especially since the strangulations and the evil divorce I had. I'm not going to cede I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to yield, become some submissive, docile, drooling, lackluster, beaten down cur for any man, no matter how much I might love them. That's not okay. It's not cricket. And the fact that it happens to women constantly, over and over again in our society, is the most profound evil. 54 women dead already this year, just saying. And technically I should have died too on those 3 occasions, but the gods simply would not allow that. Anyway, Lynn, my mummy, and her sister Annette visited, and Annette had bought me a new microwave, gave me a gift card to buy groceries, a very large amount, and bought me a sack of mash for the hens. So I must have been fucking destitute at that point in time that they came, my little earth angels, my mothers, to assist me. This is how I exist in this world, people of earth. It's very fraught at times. They also brought a chicken and bread rolls for lunch. Wow, so blessed with all my wonderful friends. After they left, I took Beauregard for a walk in the forest. I fell over but was unhurt apart from a few grazes. Then on the way back, I took Bobo to the dog park, but he attacked another puppy, so I left immediately. He is so naughty. He wasn't like that till he started taking Bravecto. Became almost overnight aggressive. He was a beautiful little dog before that. It's fucking evil what happened to my dog. And it was my fault because the vets sell it and they don't tell you about all the adverse reactions. It's evil. They should not be allowed to sell it. So I won't be taking him back there again as he is too aggressive with other dogs now. Such a shame. Now we are back home and I am resting again. It has been a lovely day apart from Beauregard's misadventures and my little tumble. Then I posted yet again that photo of me on my horse. Why was that reposted? I seem to get overlapping with my vocal media. It's like it overlaps things. But anyway, there she is. Wild and carefree on her horse. 14 I was. I think Nigel had fixed it and adjusted the colour. That might be why I reposted it, because it came up lovely actually. Oh, Asphiloth, you were such a good girl. 25th of August 2014. No more cashew nuts for me after having stomach cramps and diarrhea for the past few days. I googled cashew nut allergies. I don't have the other allergic reactions, but obviously my stomach can't handle the fibre and is creating histamine. I feel dreadful. This too shall pass. I thought it was stress as it's been a very stressful week, but the cashew nuts deliciously coated in honey, which I savoured the past 3 nights, have definitely been the root cause of my gut problems. I don't get sick from macadamias, so this whole thing is kinda, well, nutty. Anyway, enough about my shitty life. 4:32 a.m. Time to sleep. Lila Boker Tov. Good night and good morning. I woke up to carnage. The poor budgie cage tipped over after Rahul but Rahul is still alive. Thank God. I had some people come and stay with me for a while, for about a week. They lasted a week. That's why I can't have boarders in the house or share space with people. Anarchy and fucking chaos. Mess everywhere. Found rotting frozen food in my kitchen. Shit needs to be sorted. I am ropeable. Poor little Rahul wasn't slaughtered. Glad little Rahul wasn't slaughtered by my cats. The poor little budgie. And then I said to the woman, I said, you need to buy fresh food for the budgie. I said, it's all lying all rotten on the bottom of his cage and it needs to be cleaned and he needs more food. She didn't do it. She was leaving that bird to fucking die. I got so distressed. I cleaned his cage, which wasn't my place to do since they were just staying in my house. I went out and bought food for him, and I said to her little girl, you make sure he has fresh water and food every day, because he was actually her pet. But she was a little girl. It was up to the mother to make sure that the child's pet was looked after. Oh, she was a bitch, that woman. That's when she had to go, when I realised she was abusing the bird and not looking after the bird properly. I went, get out of my house now. It's enough now. Anyway, it was awful and triggering and upsetting, and I'm still triggered thinking about it. But anyway, fortunately, when little Rahul's cage got knocked over, he didn't get killed, because I would have been even more distressed if that had happened. I have been working on sealing and now painting vintage suitcases Crystal bought for me in preparation for decoupage, keeping myself busy at night while Geeta and Sanya sleep. I was trying to avoid them as much as possible, actually. It didn't work out. I thought I was doing a kind thing, bringing them into my house, and it was just another nightmare. At Montezuma's with Creature. She's buying me dinner to celebrate her new job, which was kind. That was a kind thing. We had a lovely dinner. This was before she became a complete creature, by the way, or before I realised I was in a friendship with a creature. Nachos, meatballs and rice, guacamole, salsa, sour cream, salad, yum. So what year was that? I've got to go back. 2014. Yuppie, yuppie, yuppie. 25th of August 2010. Been researching my Phillips family history. My dad was a labourer. My granddad was a labourer. His dad was, you guessed it, a labourer. And his dad was a farmer. And his dad was a carrier. I come from a long line of bums. Well, not the farmer, but, all the other working class labouring men. Not that they're technically a bum because they're working, but you know what I mean. They weren't exactly academic types. I come from a long line of bums. No wonder I can't get ahead in life. I'm genetically loaded to be a bum. Read schnorrer, which is Yiddish for beggar. All working class with not a lady or a gent among them. I'm being sardonic there. My half-sister was a dancer and made her dance teaching certificate, then quit dancing. She also learned the piano accordion. She loved singing. My father played the ukulele and sang me little ditties like Tiptoe Through the Roses and They're Going to Take Me Away, ha ha, he he, ho hum. They never did ho hum, but my perverted family liked to gaslight me that I was stupid and insane, laughing my ass off. Constantly I was told that growing up, constantly. So it's not surprising that I grew up to be stupid and insane, am I right? The motherfuckers. My Irish great-grandfather, Thomas Phillips, had flaming Titian red hair and was famous for dancing the Irish jig. He sang also. I was born with Titian red hair, but it all fell out when I was about 2 or 3 weeks old, and then I was bald for like 8 months, and then my hair came through peroxide white blonde, like natural white blonde. But yeah, I've still got the freckles though from my red hair, my redhead skin. Just smeared my lipstick, didn't I? Yeah, I know. Me and bloody lipstick. I'm only wearing it to hide my purple lips from my cyanotic lips, but I noticed they're not as blue as they used to be, so The CPAP that I'm not real happy with is actually kind of working. He got excommunicated from the Catholic Church for bigamy, my great-grandfather Thomas Phillips. My father's father was a gold prospector and a wanderer in older age. My father's mother, a bitter, irascible woman, loved paper quilling, knitting and crocheting and cooking, which were 7 enormous sons. They were all giants except for my dad, who was only 5'7". All my uncles were well over 6 foot. Would have been a hell of a task. My mother's parents were friends with opera singers, so obviously loved opera. My grandmother Eva Meyer was an anarchist. Yes, she was. Very brave what she used to do. She loved music, singing and sewing. She even sewed her own corsets and bras and silk knickers. She made preserves and harvested mushrooms and gleaned fruit from the edges of farmers' fields, which was allowed in Germany. She read playing cards. Unfortunately, she was often violent and bet my mother severely during most of her childhood. Some kind of madness, probably agitated depression, more likely effects of the PTSD during the war also. I'm making excuses for her behaviours here because it was pretty intense what she put my mother Gisela through. That's why in turn my mother had very poor mothering skills, and on it goes and on it goes. The intergenerational trauma until someone breaks the curse, or the family trauma draws a line in the sand and says, this shit is not going to happen anymore. I'm the family black sheep for making that declaration, by the way. It stops with us. My mother's biological father was a powerful witch and also loved dancing. His nickname was the Dancer. His family line were farmers in Posen, which is in Poland, not far off the border from Germany into Poland. So from time to time it would be under German rule, and other times in history it was under Polish rule. I think at one time it was even under Russian rule. So Poland has got a very unusual history, constantly being invaded between Germany and Russia, by the way. But he ran away to be a ship's carpenter when he was young, but gave up the sea after his shipmate got swallowed whole by an anaconda in the Amazon. Later in life, he was wealthy and owned an apartment building. The Roma people would visit him once a year and park their caravans. I'm talking about the Romani people or Roma people, or as called pejoratively, the gypsies, and park their caravans around his apartment building and spend a night studying occult law with him. Pre-Nazi Germany, as most of those beautiful souls would have died in concentration camps. Not even magic could save them from Hitler and his obedient, evil, perverted populace. My de facto stepfather of 23 years, a concentration camp survivor of Mittelbau-Dora in Nordhausen, but a sexual predator, used to love to play guitar and sing for my mother. Every Sunday morning they put on records and we danced to schlocky old-time love songs. This was my childhood, people. I went along with it as I did not even realise I was missing out on Pink Floyd, David Bowie and Led Zeppelin and other music of my generation. Had no idea, wasn't exposed to it. So when that dickhead that I had a love bite thing going with Dave, the English dreadlock nitwit, got so nasty and savage because I didn't know who Robert Plant was and that he was in Led Zeppelin. So he deemed me some kind of misfit and an idiot, which I guess I am because I don't have a lot of knowledge about musicians and bands even to this day. I know who Alter Egos are though, and Ramjet, am I right? My beautiful ones. But you know, I didn't know who Robert Plant was. So he basically went off me because of that. That's what level of low entity moron he really was then and probably still is, by the way. Not understanding that if you weren't raised in that culture and with that music, it's like you might as well be a fucking alien just come down from outer space because you don't have the knowledge. I guess I could have made an effort to study it up on Wikipedia or Google, which I could easily do even now by looking them up. But at that point in time in 2000, when did I meet that moron? 2014. I had no clue. I'd been dancing for years to the bands at the Irish Murphys in the casino, and I knew who played in those bands in my little world, but I didn't know the actual music they were playing, the name of every band member and what instruments they play. I didn't have that knowledge. Still don't to this day, you know. I mean, I've got some knowledge. I know Ozzy Osbourne is in Black Sabbath, and I know who, you know, Roger Waters, I think, is in. Is he? I'm not even sure. Is Roger Waters in Pink Floyd? I'm not even sure. See, I knew who, you know, Mr. Big Lips. Can't think of his name. It's flown out of my head. You know. Oh. Anyway, Mick somebody. And it doesn't matter. See, I do know who he is though. It's just I'm tired and my just the thought of it. I'm triggered. I'm re-traumatized. My brain just went exploded. So anyway, we won't even go on about that. But I'm just saying, don't come to me and start hating on me because I can't name every member of every band you ever followed or every musician you ever knew in the known history for the last 50 to 100 years because I lack that knowledge, and I can Google it, but you know, it's not up here is what I'm saying. My half sister bought me my first record when I was 13. Fleetwood Mac. I was thrilled. Then she actually stole it back from me, the evil dog. I was 13, so my sister was 28. Oh yeah, here I write. She was 28 at that time, a lawyer, making plenty of money, by the way, married with a daughter, plenty of money. So there was no excuse or reason for such disgusting behaviour. It was a form of gaslighting and validating me. Here, happy birthday, here's your first record. Oh yeah, I want it back. Who does that to their baby sister? Angela, that's who. She was always intimidating and jealous of me since my birth, dickhead. I found out what a spineless, deceitful coward she was during the will dispute. Funnily, you know, years before that, my mother had turned to me, and I didn't take it on board because my mother was spiteful, narcissist, psychopath, always vicious to everyone. But she had actually said to me, she says, you know, a mother knows her own children, Tanya. A mother knows exactly the personalities and the nature of her children. And I just went, oh, yeah. You know, because I usually didn't buy into my mother's bullshit. But she actually said to me this particular time, she said, your sister is lazy and a coward and will never stand up for you or anyone because by her nature, she's just a coward. She said she hasn't got your spirit, Tanya. I know your spirit. You will fight for anything and anyone if you see a great injustice being done. You know, my mother actually said, I kind of admire that in you. She said, your head's always on a chopping board, and I wonder why, but she said, you're quite prepared to do that, going to fight for someone. Well, anyway, I was in denial about my sister, even though my mother had told me that years prior. And then the will dispute came out, and did we find out what level of spineless, deceitful coward she proved to be? I actually got a shock, as if it was just new knowledge, right? Because I'd shunted out that memory about my mother sitting me down and telling me not to ever rely on her for support. Well, my mother liked that too, keeping us at each other's throats and keeping us feeling that we had no one to turn to for protection or support or care. You know, that's how it's part of the abuse dynamic, how she was able to get away with what she did for so long, because no one would believe us. Oh, your mother's a wonderful woman. She's so generous, she's so extroverted, and she's so flowery and flamboyant and wonderful. Why do you hate your mother? There must be something wrong with you girls. You must be mental. How can you run down your mother like that? So you couldn't even get support from outside of the family dynamic, because no one would believe us. This is the power of a narcissist and their flying monkeys, by the way. So, but anyway, it's in the past, and I'm living my beautiful life now because I'm free of all those evil, dirty motherfuckers. But here I write, but sighs, dead baby sisters, do not cry. My elder daughter is an actor, singer, director, choreographer, playwright, clown, and is currently working as a clown doctor, Captain Phoenix at the Mater Hospital with sick children. My younger daughter was also a talented actor, but refused to live in her sister's shadow. She trained as a stylist and wanted to become a fashion designer. No idea what she is doing now. The last I heard, she's making $100,000 a year working as a personal assistant to someone. So, impressive. Life must be pretty sweet for her. So, on you, Jasmine. I myself am an unpublished writer on Facebook, laughing my ass off. A dancer. I used to embroider tapestries and wove a few tapestries too. I knit toys occasionally, currently knitting fairies. I used to paint as a child, but only Mrs. Robertson encouraged my writing and art. She adored me. And since I wrote this, when did I write this? What year was that? 2010. So then since 2021, I'm also a budding silversmith as well. Oh, and I dabbled in mosaics during the COVID epoch. So I've done mosaics as well. So, you know, people who say I'm a dead shit and a loser and lazy and a failure, well, you can look at it that way. But I've worked hard, incredibly hard, to keep myself both alive and maintain my creativity every day in every way. I am a lover of music, animals, the earth, the stars, life, good, kind people, and art. I am a thriver after decades of epic abuse, a bon vivant, a raconteur, and also a universal schmuck. Schmuck means penis, by the way, or prick. So I am kind of a bit of a schmuck. Well, because no one has failed as magnificently as I have for eons and still gets up and tries each day. You've got to be a schmuck to just keep doing that, because it's absurdist and nonsensical. It makes no sense. And yet I keep doing it because I'm alive. I have hope for my future and joy in my heart and passion and romance in my heart. And I'm deserving of a beautiful life like every other mortal on this planet, just saying. And I'm going to have it. I'm having it right now, actually. Last night was wonderful, really wonderful. But I am also powerful in my own right, and learning to love and manage that power has been a lifelong struggle. This morning I woke up with the idea that I can almost be grateful to my fucking filthy, perverted enemies that literally tried to kill me and stymie me and destroy me during the past 54 years. They made me indomitable, courageous, fierce, and even over time I reclaimed my beauty. Well, wait a minute, that date can't be right, because 54 years ago was 5 years ago. 5 years ago was 2019. Why is this under 2010? For the love of all the gods. Well, anyway, I'll carry on reading. They made me indomitable, courageous, fierce, and even over time I reclaimed my beauty and my heart, which took some reclamation, by the way. A long, long process. You saw the photo of me in 2004 when I was under the effects of Zyprexa. I kept my integrity, my faith in a higher power, in myself and in life. Life clawed me back from the brink of death many times. Someone wants me here. Is determined I stay with my ear pinned to the ground with a cosmic spear for the next part of my journey or years on earth. What has life got in store for me? Only the gods know. Guess that's why I'm so earthy with no pretensions to grandeur. I mean, who would I be kidding, and how ridiculous would I look? As long as you remember, as long as you remember that the sum of the past does not equal the future, you'll be fine. Nanny Dubs wrote, I second that. It's not like you can't think for yourself. There are plenty of opportunities out there just waiting for you to explore. I say, turn a new leaf and find out what you're good at and keep it going from there. And my Auntie Sylvia Shine wrote, consider yourself the missing lady. Yes, Your Majesty. Get the crown out. I will anoint you. Oh, thank you, Auntie Sylvia. Isn't she beautiful? They're all beautiful, all my friends. I write, oh, my darling Sylvia, you know from what weird heritage I hail. But if you would anoint me lady, as a true lady, I will graciously accept your kind beneficence. Actually, I'm a scrubber of a wench from way back, but here I can put on all the airs and graces I can, eh? Ain't nothing majestic about me, Sylvia. And knowing what I've heard of the current royal family and their heritage, well, I wouldn't be aristocracy for all the tea in China, chai in India, and oh well, whatever ghastly concoction those colonials drink in the Antipodes. Perish the thought. I know one lovely English Jewish rose loves me though, lady or not, and I love her, so there. We can anoint one another quite merrily. Jared and Tanya, who was Nanny Dubs. I met Tania, pronounced the Maori way, Tania. I met Tania when we had both given birth to our firstborn children, her daughter Hayley and my daughter Crystal, in the maternity ward. That's how we met. I worked out long ago what I'm actually good at. Schnorring. In English we would call it living off the kindness of strangers. Thank you very much, Blanche Dubois. It will be kind of fun though to discover what little gems of mystique, happiness and accomplishment I may yet aspire to. Lol. Trying to work out, I can't have been 54 if it was 2010. I was actually 40. Anyway, I have to go in and change that. It's grinding my gears that it's not accurate. Can you see I'm spinning on a dime like it's not accurate, it's not accurate, it's not. This is how I have to cleave to my truth, even if I make mistakes in my own, typos or my own writing. I'm going to be upset about that till I work out what the actual correct age I would have been and amend it, or make sure that it's the actual right chronology. Because this is all saying 12 years ago, so it must have been 12 years ago is 2012, not 2010. So there's weird anomalies that vocal media has messed with it somehow, but I can't work it out. See, I'm confused. I'll have to leave it as it is because I'm confused. And when I'm confused and I don't know how to fix it, then I have to let it go and walk away. Just slough it the fuck off. Just shake it off like a wet dog, am I right? This is why I can't achieve in life. I can't always get to the nuts and bolts and fix things appropriately, and why I have mental breakdowns and freak the fuck out like I'm doing right now. It'll be okay though, because it's up there. The bones of the facts are there. There's just a little anomaly there that spun me for a loop. Danielle Sloan, my beautiful friend Lynn's daughter, wrote, "Where would the world be without trades and labourers? Winky face. My uncle was a farmer and led a very fulfilling life. Jobs need doing and someone to do them. I have a lot of respect for those that work on farms." She's quite correct there. Megan Phillips wrote, "So that's where my red highlights come from that turn gold, then grey. I love natural Ranger hair." Me too. I really admire red hair. Like my handsome young friend, well, he's not young, he's 40, but my handsome, much younger friend, Paulie in Alter Egos, has the most beautiful Tahitian red hair. And then he's got the long beard as well. I'm tempted to make a bead. He wouldn't want a ladybird, but I'm tempted to make a bead of some kind, something witchy, because I know he's a pagan like me. I'm both a Jew and a witch, but I'm tempted to make him something one day so he can have a bead for his beard. I'll have to ask him if he would like that, and then maybe I don't know what his tradition that he follows, if it's Viking or some other mystical tradition, but then I'll have to maybe make him an appropriate sigil, like if he's into Viking or Norse mythology, I could make him a rune on his bead maybe. But yeah, I'd like to do that for Paulie one day. But anyway, he was so gorgeous last night when we were chatting at the end of the night outside, as they were packing up. I said to him, "Oh, you were flying tonight, Paulie. It was just awesome." And he was so gorgeous. He smiled and he's got the most beautiful dimples and with his red hair. And oh, he's gorgeous, He's only Howard's my daughter this year. She'll be 39. So he's only about a year older than my daughter. So he could be one of my kids, Oh, he's gorgeous. He's a beautiful boy. Well, man. A beautiful man. A beautiful man. Let's get that. At 40, you're a man, not a boy. Which was why it was so cheeky. When I said to that young man last night, he said, "Do they play anything harder?" I was like, "Yeah, but you got to ask." I was winding him up a bit, to be honest. You got to yell out, "Give us something harder, boys." But I don't usually refer to them as boys. I usually refer to them as my handsome, talented men, because they're grown men with, you know, Luke's got children of his own, and they've got families of their own, and you know, they're not boys anymore. Just like I'm not a girl anymore. It sounds kind of ridiculous, but we were using it in the heavy metal, you know, rock chick kind of persona of, it's do the mosh boys, bring on the hard stuff. But anyway, it was awesome, and they did, and it was awesome. It was truly awesome. Mind you, I have to say, I was kind of awesome all night long, even from the beginning of the night. I just got into the wild dance early, and I was passionately innovated from early in the night. So I guess I had the energy, the spiritual mana, the mana tour to go off last night. It was great. It was great. It's great when that happens. My cousin Megan continued writing, and I kind of wish they'd come and took Uncle away. Children should be cherished, cousin. Here she's referring to my father. Yes, they should. I wish he had gone away too. Not that he was the sexual abuser, but that he was so unprotective and verbally vicious and violent. And anyway. I wrote back, yes, Megan, the red tinge to our hair comes from Thomas Phillips, lol, which is my great-grandfather. I posted the first photograph 10 years ago, then added in the rest, which was a long comment. I love the comments though. My auntie Sylvia died some years after the original post, but you can see she loved me, anointing me as she did, lol. Megan wrote, bigamy, our great-grandfather, wow. So he married Sarah, then forgot to divorce her, then married Robert's mother. Correct. I think that is why he got excommunicated from the Catholic Church. And Megan wrote, you're not wrong about Nana, irascible indeed. Colonial ways of the past kept her from going forward, methinks. She was incredibly racist towards my cousins and her siblings because they're part Maori. Their mother was Maori, granddaughter of chiefs. So royalty in the Maori culture, actual royalty. But my white grandmother treated them very badly. When she told me, I was astonished. I'm not in any way proud of that. That was disgusting. Then I added Connie's line had a Scottish laird, which is also royalty in the Scottish monarchy. James Brown, Laird of Edmundston, born 1689, Edmundston, Biggar, Scotland, died 1761, Edmundston, Biggar, Scotland. Well, people didn't tend to move around much in those days. Megan asked, where's our castle at? And I replied, Edmundston, Scotland? Probably long ago sold to pay the taxes, lol. Then I shared, George III was on the English throne when our Laird James Brown died. So that's interesting. This looks more likely. King James VI of Scotland. Megan wrote, I found our Laird. The name Hewitt came up again in the list of relatives. You better strut your stuff and keep your head up, Princess Tanya. My son unconsciously gave his daughter 2 family names. Her name is Amelia for Princess Amelia, and Eve, though Eva was our great auntie. She's 17 this year. Megan, I have felt smashed down by fate lately, holding myself together on a very thin thread indeed, like Grandmother Spider, waiting for a safe landing and a place to spread my silken web. All good, one day at a time stuff. 'Cause 2 days now I felt really uneasy and out of kilter. Are we living parallel lives? I'm going to give up this gigantic eyesore of a house and relocate back to Whangarei. I've had nothing but pain and heartache since moving to Browns Bay. The people were just nasty. Even the entitled teens. So done with it all. She's still been saying that to me the other day. Actually, I spoke to her and she still wants to get out of Browns Bay. This is 2 years later. It's horrible being trapped in poverty, you know. It's so fucking soul depleting. Like I myself said last night to young Al, I said, take me to Manchester, throw me in a ditch. I've got to get out of this country. I have nothing but misfortune here. I've begun to decide that it's to do with Australia, but that's not completely fair since I had nothing but shit in New Zealand too. So then I kind of rise above it and I just have to roll it through and wait for my life to become beautiful, and I have to make it on my own, under my own steam, by my own willpower, you know, with harm to none and competition with none, to or from none. But some days I just fall into despair, you know. I'm only human. It's been a lot. And my cousin has a parallel life to me. She's gone through a lot of intense trauma too, and poverty and despair, and it's very, very hard some days to rise above it. Meigs, you go where you are most cherished and are safe. It would be good to be near Ngawi. She needs you now. And Megan wrote, she really does right now. On that Eva name, my mother's mother. Ugh. Everyone in the family of origin, or Gisela, Angela and Marika, were all named Eva as a second name. I was not. I am glad, as Eva was a fucking maniac, and I don't need to bear her name as well, as I suppose I was born to be a maniac as well, sniggers. I was named Tanya after the Australian beauty queen Tanya Rook. Spelling in 1965, spelling Rook, I wasn't sure about the Rook spelling of her name. In 1965, my mother's narcissism, but Tanya is diminutive of Tatiana, or the English Titania, and derivative of the Greek Titans, gods of the underworld. See how I was pre-programmed from even just from the name I was gifted to be a shaman for the love of all the gods. Think Titanic. Not a fortunate name, for fuck's sake. It is also Russian for fairy queen of the forest. So I prefer to claim that analogy, as it is much nicer. And it gets even weirder. If you write my initials, T and D for Desiree, ARONS, in one word, it gets auto-corrected to Tsarina, which again is Russian for queen. So after I realised that, that's when I realised, well, I'm meant to be a queen. Well, not in real terms, people of Earth. I'm not delusional and mad, but, you know, there's that energy attached to my name. So I have to become a queen of my own destiny and act like a fucking queen and stop accepting bad behaviour and poor choices, others' poor choices. I've got to work through my own on my own steam, am I right? But stop accepting the fucking unacceptable and start having pride and dignity in myself and live my best life. And as that wonderful man at the Outlaw Motorcycle Organisation all those years ago in early 2012 told me, never stop being me. Take delight in who I am as a woman and as a spirit, because he saw my valour and my courage and my mana toa and my strength and my honour and my integrity and my truth speaking and my grace under fire to apologise when I realised I'd done something a bit naughty, and I take ownership of that, and even told me to never apologise again because I was completely in the right to react the way I reacted. But beside the point, have dignity and grace under fire. Those are my core values, and freedom and peace and truest, greatest, most delicious, soul-nourishing love, which is beginning to manifest, people, in astonishing ways, at least with the most beautiful, sweet, platonic friendships. To my beloved ones, you know who you are. Desiree was gifted to me by Angela, who insisted I be named that as my middle name, as she had just read the book about Desiree, who was the advisor and former mistress. I was wrong about that. I thought she was just a mistress, but she was actually his first fiancée. He'd been engaged to her, but he ditched her for he ditched her for Josephine. Well, Josephine kind of seduced him, actually, because she was a bit of a slut, if the truth be known. And little Desiree, his first fiancée, he'd met her when she was only 14, and well, it was common for boys and men to marry young, very, very young, still children in that epoch. It's pedophilia, actually, but that was kind of a normal thing back in the day. But anyway, he had deflowered her when she was only 14, let's put it delicately, taken her virginity, and then ditched her for that epic fucking slut who'd been married before, Josephine. So, however, little Desiree, who was so broken-hearted, losing the first love of her life, which for a woman is usually the greatest love of your life, unless you were like me and married an idiot. Hopefully the last love of my life will be the greatest love of my life, by the will of all the gods. But anyway, because I do things backwards like Benjamin Button, because mugwump. But anyway, little Desiree, my namesake, the woman I'm named for, was the advisor to Napoleon Bonaparte, and then later became the Queen of Sweden. She actually became a real queen, not the Empress of France as she should have been by rights, had Josephine not come along. But she did even better. She became the Queen of Sweden, and apparently she was a wonderful queen too. So there you go. You see how Mama T's meant to be destined for greatness, but I stumble around with my ass half hanging out of my pants, not quite literally, but financially, stumbling around, trying to make it in this world. But there's hope for me yet, babies. Who knows what the future holds for me. I don't aspire to be, an actual queen though, because I don't like what I see in our current royal families. They're all pretty fucking debauched and depraved, and I don't want to ever be that. I don't want to ever espouse that. Just saying. So anyway, yes, I write another powerful namesake, and thus concludes with that funny little commentary today's readings of even date, and we're 3 hours and 28 minutes in. It's been intense, it's been full on, there's been lots of confessionals, and there's been lots of uplifting and soul shedding and karmic burning and processing, and it's been wow. I need a hug and $20 million and to be given my anointed throne, and so I can be queen for real, am I right? I'll just settle to be happy in love with a beautiful man someday who loves me back, and be king and queen of our own little world, our own little existence amongst our friends and family and business associates, however that manifests in the future, babies. And I don't know who that person will be or when or how or what circumstances I'll meet in, but in the meantime I've got another 6 months to a year to heal my breathing and my health issues, so I can actually become ever more regal and powerful and accomplished and create my most beautiful, most astonishing, most amazing, wondrous life. Am I right? Gee, I look beautiful today, even with my red blotchy nose from the mask, and I look rather, maybe I'm high, maybe I'm just high on life, but I look and feel beautiful today. Oh, to my friends that have been privy to this manifestation, because I'm nothing without you, babies. Love you all. Gotta go. Bye.